a traveler. The purpose of raw consciousness is never to destroy. It is always to create. Build bridges. Create happiness. And bring forth new life. We must live in the hope that mankind will draw together. And that we better understand each other. The more that we awaken, the easier this will become. Now rise. Follow your conductors. And fear no danger. As you step beyond the veil.
All right, let's jump back into it. 612-398-0600 is the call-in number. Looking forward to hearing from you. And people are asking where they can hear Clyde's show. Aftermath.fm is, I think we can listen to it for free. And we might carry it over at tfrlive.com too, depending on scheduling. I'm not quite sure. I have to see what we have scheduled and what we don't have scheduled. But I would love to carry a show over at tfrlive.com as well. We used to way back in the day. So his show's always been top notch. I mean, you know, for mainstream radio, hearing these kind of subjects, these kind of viewpoints, these kind of topics, it's so refreshing.
It's
because
classy.
These are people that listen to Fox News all day and all that, and then they're getting the truth. They're getting exposed to some real information, and I think that's really helping to turn the tide.
I think it is too.
And it's getting harder and harder and harder to find good information. I mean, here on YouTube, you know, it's just been it's been ridiculous. There's very few people left here on YouTube. That's why we started the Patreon, patreon.com/BTV Tribe. And we will be starting BTVTribe.com here pretty soon, as soon as I can figure out all the other million things that I have to do with my time. In the meantime, yeah. But it was real inspiring to hear the stories about surviving cancer 3 times.
Oh, that's incredible.
That is incredible, and still broadcasting.
It shows
too.
dedication.
Yeah. It was really nice to see you two connect on that level too. And I didn't know his wife had EDS too, but I looked up a picture of his wife, and you can tell.
Yeah.
People with EDS, they have a different
very
look to them.
specific look.
It's a different bone structure and everything like that. Always beautiful. Always beautiful. Very bendy.
Oh, thank you. Very flexible.
Yeah, very flexible. Yes, very flexible, but also very fragile too.
Very fragile. So handle with care. I'm amazed because I'm so glad I met someone else. I mean, we have a few people in our life that are like that. Scotty Lopez, for one. There's a few others that, you know, you can tell they use the pain and the discomfort and the suffering that they go through as fuel for magic in their lives. And magic can be something as simple as, you know, getting a job that you want to get, or making something happen for a family member, or getting a loan from a bank, or, you know, things like that. I think those aren't just luck. There's magic to it as well, and that you can tap into those forces if you are aware of them, and if you know how to manipulate them responsibly, of course. You can do a lot with pain, and that comes actually from an astrological concept in Chiron, which is an asteroid that's involved with being a healer, but being a healer that is only a healer because they were able to already heal themselves. Like, as much as they were wounded, they're able to help others that are as wounded as that. And so looking at it from that perspective, I have Chiron very, very, very strong in my chart. And so I think that means that I'm supposed to use the suffering as fuel to help others, and to be here with you guys, and to be the female aspect that leads the tribe. What do you think, Chris?
People are asking what happened to the last show. We have been getting bombarded by copyright strikes
It's been
on YouTube and
ridiculous.
everywhere else. So yeah, I just have to edit that other show down and remove all the copyrighted stuff. It's getting so bad to where we did a review of The Matrix, and they were flagging still shots of The Matrix 4 on the screen as we were talking, which the definition of fair use is you can use something for commentary. And so if you're doing commentary on a piece of copyrighted information, that is specifically for fair use. The thing is, they don't care about the rules. They don't play by their own rules. It's however they choose to enforce them. And there's really nothing you can do except for spend hundreds of thousands of dollars going to court and fighting over what? Over a video that is, over one video. It doesn't make any sense like that. But unfortunately, that's what happened. It's happened to some very big YouTubers as well. There was a guy named Nostalgia Critic, and it was also Warner Brothers as well. He did was reviews, and he wound up getting his entire channel wiped because of Warner Brothers copyright strikes. So he started doing his reviews a little bit differently. James, the Angry Nintendo Nerd, also did a lot of movie reviews too, and he had to go to showing still shots and talking about it rather than playing clips and doing stuff like that, just simply because they don't honor what they're supposed to be honoring, which is the fair use doctrine and the in the copyright laws. So it's a shame. They're flagging literally everybody, and everything is being held together by a string, which is why we need a place like btvtribe.com. It's just setting up the infrastructure that is it's expensive. It's expensive.
And that's what we were talking about with Clyde in the first half of the show, where we were talking about how in an age where you aren't allowed to say that black is black and white is white, and that the truth is the truth. In a situation like that, it's so untruthful that reality is flipped on its head. And what's up is down, what's left is right. Things are not going to appear as things are not going to be as they appear. Especially at first glance. And so I think we're all heading into 2022 thinking, oh, this is going to be even bumpier than 2021. But in fact, 2022 is going to be our year. It's going to be the year where everybody stands up and says, no more of this shit. It's going to be the year where, it's going to be the loudest, but this time it's us that's the loudest instead of the, mask, the maskers, all of them being the loudest.
Yeah. There's some people that honor the fair use thing.
And
the
fair
people
use,
that did, what does the sheep say? They did an automatic copyright strike, and then I wrote them a dispute, and I said, we're doing a parody, and they said, oh, okay, that's cool, you can do a parody. I did a parody of Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name Of, and I did Sniffing in the Name Of, and they came back and they said, no, we're not going to honor your right to do a parody of our song. So again, what do? Do you spend $100,000 and go to court over it, or just move on to something else?
Well, the fact of the matter is this has nothing to do whatsoever with copyright, because I don't think Rage Against the Machine, I think that's yours, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Sorry. I don't think it has anything to do. I don't think Rage Against the Machine would care about the copyright.
No, they would. They would. You know why? Because they're far leftists.
Oh.
And I've taken their song and completely turned it upside down.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. There had to be some political motivation behind that, because there was political motivation behind me doing a parody of their song. Because I grew up with Rage Against the Machine, but I didn't understand their ideology back then. They were just like, fuck the machine, fight the power, all that, etc. I didn't realize at the time that fuck the machine, fight the power means we need to bring in communism.
Right. Communism and fascism, except by a different name, and we claim to be against fascism.
Yeah, so I did it on purpose. I called it Caged in the Machine, and I was going to do their entire album redone, but then I was like, I mean, number one, their lyrics are like way too repetitive. But it's pretty funny. Those of you that have seen
Well, that's
it's
far
on,
leftist for
yeah,
you.
it's on our
you know?
channel, and they flagged it as
Very little creativity.
no, they flagged it as adult content because Joe Biden sniffing children is considered adult content. Like Twitter even banned that video too of Joe Biden sniffing, and this is not CNN. What's that other station? C-SPAN. It was C-SPAN footage, and they flagged that as adult content and sexual behavior and all that. So they're even admitting it with their flags and everything like that. But at the same time, it's like nobody really cares.
Yeah,
you
nobody
know?
cares what the truth is, or
Yeah. And it's hard for me to hate Joe Biden. It really is. I hate him for everything that he was. Up until the point to where he lost his mind.
Yeah, he's not a person anymore.
He's an old man with dementia.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to hate him because he's an old man with dementia. I hate the people that are using him in that manner.
Yeah.
You know, I hate everything that he's done in his career, but I feel sorry for him. I feel pity for him because he's being used. And it's elder abuse.
Well, he's getting what he deserves, but at the same time, it's taking it out on us.
Yeah.
As a result, I mean, we're the ones that are having to suffer because of it. It's not just him that's suffering. I don't feel bad for him. I feel like he's getting what he deserves. If it weren't for the fact that it's affecting the entire country, I don't care what they do with him. Stick him in a nursing home for all I care. What I care about is the effect that it's having on the American people, as well as the way that we look to other countries, because we look extremely weak to other countries and like, hey, come on over here and invade us. We're wide open for it. You know, we have weak leadership, weak to no leadership whatsoever. And whatever is left of our leadership is just arguing amongst themselves over, you know, a dime here and a dime there.
That is true. When I'd go overseas, I used to tell people I was Canadian because I didn't want to tell people I was American because they hate Americans over there. Now I don't want to tell people I'm American because they're going to feel pity for me and they're going to think I'm a bumbling idiot because that's what our leadership is. And it's... I can't believe that we're in the place we are, but here we are.
Yep. You know, whenever I do talk to people from other countries, invariably they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry about what's happening over there." You know, so are you guys really that stupid, or you know? And I have to say, no, I promise you, we're not that stupid. It was stolen out from under us, all that stuff. You know, the crops that we grew, you know, everything that belongs to us does not belong to us anymore, you know, because it's not our country. We didn't get to choose. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
You know?
So let's go to the phone lines. 612-398-0600 is the call-in number. Let's go to area code 661. I think they're calling from Skype, maybe not. 661, what's your name? What's on your mind?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Sherry. This is Danielle.
Danielle,
Hi,
how are you, my
Danielle.
dear?
Yes. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Good. What's on your mind?
Okay, so Chris, the last time that I talked to you, remember I was telling you about, you know, my twin dying and how, you know, I felt like how could he leave me if we still had work to do and stuff like that. And you had told me that perhaps that there was work he needed to do for me from the other side. And I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for that because it actually made me feel a lot better. And I think after, you know, it's been over a year now, and I think that you were 100% accurate on that.
Well, thank you.
So I just want to say, thank you from the bottom of my heart for having that conversation with me because I really needed that.
Thank you for saying that because, you know, Sherry and I know there's going to be a time when one of us has to leave and it's going to be difficult for whoever it is that stays behind. And I'm hoping that I'm the one that leaves because staying behind is the most difficult thing to do. And so, you know, how did you handle it over the year?
Well, it's been rough, and there was, you know, for months and months I would just cry. And, you know, like your music would help a lot too when you would come on in the middle of the night and I would be like sad and lonely. And it's just like, we used to listen to trance music together and psytrance and drum and bass and all that stuff. So that was like really therapeutic for me to have, something to do that I know we would do together. And it almost felt like he was there with me. But as
thank
time has
you.
been,
That makes him feel amazing.
you're
I
welcome.
bet.
Yeah, thank you. But as time's been progressing and everything, there's just been certain situations. Like a couple months ago, I got really sick, and I thought I had the zombie virus, but I didn't. I actually had a really bad kidney infection, and I had to get a blood transfusion and all kinds of stuff. And while I was sick, I actually had this dream about him, and it was the first time he had come to me in my dream. And in my dream, he was laying there and he was dying in my dream, and I wanted to lay with him. And he pushed me away and like totally rejected me and wouldn't let me lay with him. And I was like, I woke up and I was just in tears, and I was like, why would he just push me away like that? But then I got to thinking about it later on throughout the day, and I was like, you know what? I probably would have died with him.
Yeah, that's
and he
exactly
was
right.
like showing me, and he was showing me like, no, you need to stay and be with your kid and everything, but I'm still here for you. It's like kind of how I took it. And so that, I'm still kind of mad at him over that dream, but I'm like, at the same time, like I would understand though that there's a higher purpose for things,
Mm-hmm.
So it's little things like that just kind of keep me motivated to keep moving on with my life. And I'm happier, I think, like within than I've ever been. And another thing he used to tell me when he was alive, that he was going to show me what true love felt like love that I've never felt before. And, I kind of felt like a little bit I got cheated out of that with the way that everything went down and the way that he left me. But now I feel like from the other side, he's given me a way to learn like true love of myself, like from within. And that's something that I've never felt before, like my entire life.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
And I don't
Danielle.
and I don't think I ever would have found that within myself, like without having that experience with him.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
That is so
If you don't mind me
beautiful.
asking, how old is your child?
He's 13.
Oh, he needs
his mother right now. And you know what? Let me tell you
And
something. I'll go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's exactly what the dream was. He was saying, you can't come with me right now. You're still needed there. And it might have felt like it was, an act of, something that upsets you, but it was an act of pure love. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's part of the message of showing you what real love is.
Yeah.
Real love is being able to let go sometimes.
Right. And also I will say that twin flames, whenever they do join up in a lifetime, and when one leaves, the other one always has a connection to them. And it's a very solid, very clear connection to not just them, but the other side in general. And I think whenever you got sick, I think that's going to happen pretty much every time you get very, very ill. It's going to be kind of optional. And he's going to be right there waiting for you and ready for you when you're ready for him. And when you're ready for him too, that'll be the point at which all you have to do is just walk over.
Well, it reminds me of my mother. My mother left when she knew that all of her children would be okay. My sister was getting married. She had a great job. My brother was getting into real estate. I was doing well. I had a successful carpet cleaning company at the time. And she went through hell. She went through cancer twice and was doing the chemo and was doing all of that. And then one day she just died of a stroke, heart attack, and seizure. And she didn't leave until she knew everything was going to be okay. And I think that's the same in this situation. You have a 13-year-old right now that needs you. As soon as he grows up and becomes a man, then it might be time for you to go and rejoin your twin flame.
Yeah, and then when that does happen, it'll be as easy as opening a door and walking through it.
Well, I used to wake up every day, and he would hate when I would say this, because he'd be like, why do you always have to be like that? Because I would wake up and be like, I fucking hate this place. And that would be like the first words out of my mouth in the morning. And he'd be like, why? Like, there's so many beautiful things to look forward to. And I would just be like, dude, there's also a lot of like really ugly evil in the world, and I don't understand why I ended up getting stuck here in this body. And like, why can't I just be free to travel the cosmos and, and just feel like that pure love energy all the time that I know exists out there. And it's like, but now these days, I don't really feel like I want to leave that bad. And even with everything that's been going on, like with the virus and the vacations and everything that's just so crazy and like upside down in the world right now, I don't necessarily want to leave it either, because I feel a lot more content and like at peace within myself.
That's actually interesting.
And I just,
it's interesting you say that, because I think what was happening was when both twins are in an incarnation and it's time for one twin to go, I think that something happens with the other one where or both of them really, where there's this imbalance of energies, and it's like, I don't know why, but this place doesn't feel right. And then when you say that you feel more content now, and that doesn't sound weird to me at all, because it sounds like polarities have balanced themselves out, and you are needed here for something very, very important, while he is definitely needed there for something very, very important. And now that the energies are balanced and there's not that imbalance there, where both twins are in the sim, in the matrix, in the machine together, there's not that imbalance anymore. And so I think that's why you feel that way. And once you're finished doing what you're doing, and your son is grown and ready to let go of you, I think everything will just flow perfectly from now on. And so don't feel weird about feeling like that, because I think that's exactly how that is, because I know that Chris has said that he feels like he's needed on the other side. And so definitely there are times when it feels like both of us being here at the same time feels a little bit imbalanced. But I think you're totally normal in feeling the way you do. I just want to say that.
Well, I think too, it's an opportunity to savor the moments. Right now, Sheree and I savor the moments that we have with each other.
Exactly.
I think it's time to savor the moments with your son, because he's 13 and he's growing up. He's becoming a man of his own, but he's still at that age when he still, hopefully, still loves his mother and will always love his mother.
Oh,
but,
yeah. He's
Savor all
just
those
the
moments.
Sweetest little guy.
Yeah, savor all those moments that you have with him.
Yeah.
And, every time I touch Sheree, every time I kiss Sheree, I always savor it as though it's the last time. And worst case scenario, I've savored it as though it's the last time. Or best case scenario, worst case scenario is it is the last time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's the way that I've just kind of taken life. Every day is a blessing. Every day is an opportunity to savor everything, where before it was just like, oh, we're going to live forever and that's it.
Right.
So especially now with this whole zombie virus situation, it's really shown us and really reminded us, I should say, of our own mortality. And it's amazing to hear stories like yours, where you've lost somebody very close to you, but you're still in a positive frequency. You're still looking to the future, and you're still motivated to keep on doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Well, you know what else is crazy is that I recently met somebody who is so much like him. It's not even funny. Like, we have a really good connection, and it's like he's funny, and he's like just the way that his mind bounces from one thing to another, and like just it's almost like when I'm with him, it's almost like I'm with Mark, except there's not so much of like the spiritual connection that Mark and I had, but I almost feel like he sent me like the 3D like physical plane version of him. If that makes sense.
I would totally do that for
I've
Chris.
told Sheree, I said, when I go, I want you to find somebody that's going to make you happy. And she's like, oh, I could never do that. I could never do that.
No.
But I'm like, no. You need to find somebody that makes you happy. Everybody needs companionship. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think if you think deep down in your heart, the way that your twin flame was, I think that's what he would want too. I mean, if you turn it around the other way and you were gone, wouldn't you want him to find somebody to be happy with?
Right. And
yeah, of course. But it's like nothing will ever be what it was. But it's like this new guy. It's like he's not trying to be that though.
Right. Right. I was just going to
which is a good thing, because nothing would ever fulfill that. You know, it's already been fulfilled in my life. Like that spiritual twin flame connection. It's never going to happen again. You know, I don't know if I was blessed or cursed that it happened to me already, but it's definitely not going to happen a second time. You know, some people don't even find that in the lifetime that they're in now.
Right.
So I understand that it was like something special that will never be replaced, but it's almost like he's kind of sent me the next best thing. So I have my fingers crossed for that. Like, I hope that things keep continuing the way that they're going.
Oh, well, good luck to you guys on that
I think he would want me to be happy, you know?
Yes,
yeah,
he would.
Thank you.
He would.
And you know, the great thing too is, you know, Shuri and I have been together 13 years. There's been a lot of baggage that comes along with that 13 years. You know, a lot of arguments, a lot of this, a lot of that, et cetera, et cetera. You have an opportunity to learn from everything that happened before and to start over with a completely, totally clean slate. And I know it's not the same, but it's a chance to be happy. And at the end of the day, that's what this life is about. If you're not happy, there's no point in being here.
Exactly. So I have to go back into work right now, but Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to tell you both, thank you so much. Like, you guys have helped me from, you know, where you're at and where I'm at, like, more than you could ever even imagine. And I appreciate that. And I will forever love and respect you guys for that. So thank you so much.
We love and respect you too. And message me on Facebook. I'll talk to you later on this week.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Love you, Danny.
Line muted. Line unmuted.
Oh, I love her.
Was that Danny?
Yeah, that's Danny.
Oh, that was Danny.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even recognize. Okay.
Yeah, she's such a beautiful spirit.
Oh,
and
I remember her telling me that now.
And you know what? Let me tell you what. I agree. I think I would probably do what Mark did and send you somebody that looks like Jasmine but acts, you know, like the version of me that you like the most. You know.
No, I couldn't be with anybody else.
I know I couldn't be with anybody else either.
I hopefully, if you go before I do, they have brought technology to a point where they have the real dolls that can talk and walk and do the dishes.
Right. That would be fine. That would be an acceptable thing for me. You know, like, just to have company. You know, I've already, like she said, I've already had my love, my passionate, once in a lifetime love, but a companion is another thing entirely. And I'd want you to have a companion and somebody to keep you company and, you know, somebody to make you laugh and, all of that. But thank you so much for calling in, Danny, and for sharing that. That's so beautiful. And we have Planet Ash in the house as well. So, she said hearing line muted reminds me of old times.
Oh, yeah, I hit the wrong button.
Yeah, so
yeah, we have a few more callers on the
excellent.
Call. We'll get here to them in just a few moments. It's an interesting time that we're living in.
It really is.
And every day is precious, and we have to find the happiness in every single day. The world is, I mean, the Matrix is shutting down. They're calling it a reset, but, you know, I think it's shutting down. So
yeah, I think so too.
You know,
there's no getting around it.
No, and there is a lot of beauty in this world. There really is.
We were just talking about that today.
Yeah.
Oh, there is so much beauty in this world. There really is. But there's so much that wants to hurt that and wants to ruin that and just wants to crap all over it and make it something ugly.
I often watch videos that are like top 10 YouTubers who ruin their career in one sentence. Top 10 celebrities that ruin their career in one performance. You know, stuff like that. So I can learn, so I can make sure not to make those mistakes. And we've got a couple of super chats, and I want to say thank you to the super chats.
Yeah, there you go.
How can I find a twin flame? That's a big question. So we'll hold that question if you don't mind, Tom. But I watched these videos, and one of the videos that I watched is Janet Jackson and how she quote unquote ruined her career with one situation that happened during the Super Bowl performance, where Justin Timberlake grabbed her and exposed her breast,
exposed her nipple.
and
Yeah.
according to her, I watched, I had an interview in there with her, and she said he was supposed to grab and rip off the black leather that was on top of it,
Right.
exposing the bra.
Exposing the nipple.
Yeah, he wound up
holder.
Yeah, and he wound up grabbing and exposing everything.
Right.
It was just the nipple. That's
Yeah.
it. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff. Her record label dropped her. I think it was some company. I don't remember what company it was, but the company she was working for was
my
banned.
makeup company.
No. It was a music company or something like
Oh.
that. They were banned from ever doing any Super Bowl presentations ever again. I mean, this was like a huge controversy. And they find they find the Super Bowl people like $550,000, which is nothing. I mean, $550,000 doesn't even get you 10-second ad spot during the Super Bowl. So, it was
Right.
nothing. But they made this huge deal out of a nipple. While at the same time, they will show you murder after murder and riots and torture.
Right.
And all
They'll
of that.
show you people getting shot in the head, but they're not going to show you a nipple.
Yeah. And my point of saying all this is that we've got this completely and totally backwards.
Mhm.
Beauty is suppressed,
And
while
shamed.
violence and gore is
Celebrated.
glamorized and celebrated.
Right.
And it's really a fucked up society. And I don't want to go pointing any fingers at anybody, but it all comes down to religion and this whole holier than thou bullshit. This whole idea, one man and one woman, in the Bible, that was never the case. There's no, I can't find anywhere in the Bible that says one man and one woman is marriage. Everywhere in the Bible that I look, but I start from the beginning, so maybe that's the problem. Is it's one man and however many women you can buy in your time period. Or the story of Jacob, for example. He wanted his wife. I don't remember what his wife's name was. Rachel. Yeah, he wanted Rachel. He worked for 7 years for his uncle.
And he got Leah instead.
And he got Leah instead. Then he had to work for another 7 years. So then he had Rachel too. I mean,
and he got their stepsisters that were actually slaves that were born of their father and one of the other slaves. So he got them too. So he had 4 daughters for the price of 2.
Yeah. And then go out to another city, kill all the men and women, keep the virgins for yourselves as your spoils. Virgin back then was under 12 years old, because at 12 years old, people were married. Girls were already married at 12 years old.
Right.
So we're talking about girls under 12 years old. And in the Bible, it specifically
girls as young as 9.
Go and take them as your sex slaves.
Yeah.
And I mean, how horrible of an idea is. I mean, think about this. If an invading army if China came over here and killed all the men and women and took all of your daughters for sex
as young as 9 years old as sex slaves.
Under 12.
Yeah.
For sex slaves. I mean, that's horrific. But the reason I say that is these are the very same people that are telling you that the human body is to be covered. The human body, I mean, even your face now.
Covered in shame.
Cover your face, cover this, cover that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Beauty should be celebrated and beauty should be admired, where it's not. And the opposite is put on the news 24/7, rapes and murders and death and destruction and all kinds of stuff like that. It's a backward ass world we live in.
I noticed that if I go, a few days without putting on makeup, putting my contacts in, brushing my hair, looking in the mirror and really, working on my appearance, I start to feel really bad about myself. And the more I do those things, the better I feel about myself. I wonder how much of an impact that's had on our society, just on an individual level, not really needing to pay much attention to your appearance because everybody has to wear this mask all the time. And especially if you have to go work at a 9-to-5 job and you're a woman who wears makeup, you've probably gotten to the point now where you stopped wearing makeup a few months ago. Or several months ago, or even a year ago.
It gets all over your mask.
It gets all over the mask. There's no point in trying to wear makeup. And so, I mean, except for eye makeup.
If you think about it, theocracy is really creeping its head in.
It's really getting bad.
Remember when the left was all about, Islamophobia and this and that and et cetera, et cetera. And, everybody was like, hey, they're trying to bring in Sharia law.
And they were called crazy.
And then the exact
everything.
same people are like, you have to wear a mask, you have to wear a mask, you have to cover your face.
Did you?
I mean, that's
Well, did
straight
you
out
know
of the
that-
Quran.
Did you know that most boroughs in New York have they have an area inside of their family court system for Sharia law. It's like specifically for Muslims to uphold their specific laws, and they supersede New York state law, so that in cases of child abuse and things like that, they have much less jurisdiction over it, because this entire borough is covered by the Nation of Islam, not the state of New York. Did you know that?
That is...
It's creeping in bad.
This is the problem that people have. And unfortunately, this is a stereotype where people want to come over to the United States and they want the United States to acquiesce to their culture rather than the other way around.
Right.
There's an old saying, when in Rome. When we went to Egypt, I asked you to cover your head, not your face, but I asked you to cover your head.
Yeah, just put
out of respect
head covering on
for the culture over there.
Right.
And then by the time we got to Aswan, you just couldn't take it anymore, and you were wearing a tank top.
I was wearing a tank top,
and the
at that
men
point.
were whistling and hollering like animals.
Yeah.
Complete disrespect. And
I eventually did grab your shirt and put it on, because I felt
you haven't, in contrast, somewhere like France,
right,
or somewhere in Europe where they have nude beaches.
Yeah,
I remember when we were in Greece, they had that big tanning salon sign, and it was all over Athens.
Oh yeah,
and it's a bare-breasted
woman. Yeah, it's no big deal.
And so they don't see the human body just in a sexual context.
Right.
They see the human body as the human body, and when it's in a sexual context, it's in a sexual context.
Right, exactly.
Here we don't make a distinction between that. So we see all nudity as sexual.
Exactly.
You take that a step further into Islam, and what happens? You get people who will hoot and holler over an ankle, and they can't control themselves over an ankle. So it just goes to show, in my humble opinion, the more you suppress something, the more savagery that is
unleashed. Because I was actually watching the TV show Freud yesterday. You guys should look it up, because it's pretty interesting. And he was talking about what is inside of our consciousness and the subconscious, and hypnosis. When he was discovering hypnosis, and in this show anyway, he discovered that there are people that use hypnosis not to help people, but to harness the beast within people, and to then unleash that beast at their political enemies. So let's say you have the Kaiser, and his son goes to a dinner party with these people. The people at the dinner party hypnotize this kid to kill his father at the next big ball whenever they say the magic words. And they unleash the beast within this kid. He tries to kill his father, and then they say another phrase to stop the beast and to put the beast back in the cage. I think that is absolutely correct. We all have that beast within us, but it's becoming very dangerous now, because now we have society, the mass media, and the government telling us how that beast should be unleashed. And we're unleashing that beast against each other when we walk into the grocery store and we don't have a mask on automatically, and someone growls at us and says, "You have to put your mask on."
Oh, that's a good point. I want to say thank you real quick to Anish. He sent a super chat and said that there's very good energy. And then somebody else in the comment section
big energy
said,
coming in the spring.
There's a lot of judgment, Chris Gio.
Mm-hmm.
Where did we get this idea that judgment is bad?
Yeah.
Like, who convinced you that judgment is bad? The definition of judgment is to form an opinion. To form an opinion on something. And so how is it that forming an opinion. Form an opinion or conclusion about.
That opinion could change.
Well, no, I mean, why,
Based on new information.
who has told you that forming an opinion or conclusion about something is somehow a trait that's flawed? I think it's those who are seeking to control you.
Right.
Because you should form an opinion and conclusion about whatever it is that you're examining.
Right.
You know, it's the same people that have told you that ego is somehow bad. And ego is your sense of self-esteem. Your ego is your sense of self-worth.
Right. Instead of toxic ego.
Right.
Is
So
bad.
what are they telling you? They're telling you, don't have any self-esteem. Don't feel any sense of self-worth.
Yeah. Don't have an identity.
Don't form an opinion about anything.
Right.
This is new age bullshit propaganda. And I'm not calling you out by any means. I'm just illustrating that it's all it's all together to dehumanize and make you into, not you personally, I'm not talking to the person that said that comment, just make people in general these weak, spineless little pieces of slime that are walking around going, okay, well, you know, if the CDC said that, then, you know, I have to do that. I better not be judgmental of the CDC. I better not be judgmental of Fauci. I better not be judgmental of COVID. You know, they know best. They know best. That's not a way to proceed, but unfortunately people have been programmed to do so. And so I think people should consider that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. There's too much of the, you know, illogical judgment going on and not enough rational judgment going on. When someone says you need to put that on, your rational mind should say, why do I need to? Aren't you saying I have to?
Right. And then you should take the data and you should form your own conclusion based on the data.
Right.
But you see what the New Age has done? Don't be judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning don't take the data and don't form a conclusion based on the data.
Right.
But see, they've twisted the words around. It's
do what we tell you.
Newspeak. It's Newspeak out of 1984.
Right.
So judgment means something that it
judgment
doesn't.
Yeah.
Ego means something that it doesn't.
Right. Right. When they say judgment, when really they mean, you know, rational thinking. When the higher up people think rational thinking and the lower down people think you're just being mean and you're being belligerent and not cooperating because you're just being a jerk. That's what they think
I don't want
whenever.
to frame it like that because I don't want anybody to feel like there's not a higher and lower. You know.
No, I'm talking about the
just,
people telling you to put that on.
Well, that's true. Yeah. They're looking
the
for
people
the
telling
lowest common denominator to
enforce all of that.
To control.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have an opinion. We wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have conclusions.
Right.
And the one last thing I'll say on the subject too is this whole idea of humility. We should be humble to a certain degree. We should be open to all information that comes in. But again, we should use our rational minds to decipher that information and judge that information, come to a conclusion based upon that information. But we should be open to the idea that our opinion and conclusion may not be correct because we're missing certain data sets. And I think where the listener who said that was coming from is that, you know, I think that's what the whole judgment thing is that we don't want to be stuck on a particular conclusion or opinion. But our conclusion and opinions are going to be at the place that we are with that certain data set. So I think what's most productive is when other people offer more data to be considered. Mm-hmm. And that's how discord happens. And that's how, not discord, discourse.
Discourse. Yeah, I was about to say discord.
No, not discord.
That's the opposite.
I always get the two mixed up. That's how discourse happens. And that's how consciousness expands. So it's funny, the New Age is telling you to do the opposite of what actually expands the consciousness.
Well, Doug Clayton just had something interesting. Chris, but you say Christians are judgmental like it's a bad thing. You're kind of a hypocrite. Okay, well, let's talk about what I just said. Irrational judgment. Irrational judgment says that if someone doesn't accept a being into their heart, that when they die, they're somehow, even though they don't have a body anymore, going to burn for all eternity, forever and ever, unless they, get their name written in blood in a book called the Book of Life. That I think that's a form of irrational judgment.
Well, can I say this too?
Go ahead.
I appreciate Doug pointing that out because I didn't even catch myself doing it too. I'm also misusing the word judgment. Like I have said in the past, Christians are very judgmental.
Yeah.
So kudos. Thank you for helping to elevate my consciousness. I will start to use a different word to describe what I'm trying to describe.
Or maybe irrationally judgmental.
Yeah. Okay. So you
because
see,
there's
this is
judgment,
how
there's good judgment, and there's
this is how
irrational
consciousness
judgment.
elevates. This is how we come together and we offer different information and we transcend the levels that we're at.
People are saying you're right. The Matrix is shutting down. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm glad somebody else thinks that. Awesome show like always. Oh, thank you, Mike.
The thing is, okay, when it comes to Christians, and I'm not paintbrushing all Christians because I've met some really nice ones, but I use the word judgmental because I don't want to call them assholes.
That's what I meant by just being mean.
They're just...
They like being mean.
Yeah, they impose their own beliefs on everybody else.
They get a good feeling from it.
It's just, they're just fucking assholes, man.
If you get a good feeling from telling people
it's like,
mean things.
What do you care what I'm doing in my house? If I was a gay man, what business of it is yours who I'm having sex with in my bedroom? It's the invasion of people's personal space that is, it's horrible.
And that is not all.
And the imposition of their views upon others.
Right.
So there's a word for it. It's a much better word than judgmental. So thank you for clearing that up, and I will expand my lexicon accordingly.
Yeah, that's very, very good.
Back to the phone lines?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take some more phone calls.
Let's go to area code 474. What's your name and what's on your mind tonight?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. What's your name? Hello?
Hey, man. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. There is about a 1 second delay, so just a heads up on that, but take us away, please.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Chris and Cherie. I have 2 questions. I have 2 questions about animals. I have had many animals when I was younger, Is it possible for, if you lose an animal when you're younger, that it can come back to you in dreams and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely.
I think so.
Or maybe
so I had this dog named Skittles. And when I was young, I had a dog named Bebe, which is Greek for baby. And he was a little dachshund, and Skittles had the exact mannerisms of Bebe. And we used to always say, this is Bebe reincarnated. This is him coming back and coming to you in dreams and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. The way that I've seen animals, and I could be wrong about this, but this is just my understanding up to this point, is that animals aren't... there's one of 2 ways to think about it. Either that we all start out as lower forms of consciousness and move through the evolutionary ladder of consciousness, becoming reincarnated from one form to another, until we get to humans and maybe even transcend beyond humans as well. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is what I've come to understand lately is that animals are what I term programmable consciousness. They imprint As a matter of fact, I was just watching one of those, dodo videos. I don't know if you've seen those on YouTube, but they always show these cute little stories about different animals. And, hey, there was this cat. She was a horrible cat, and we adopted her, and now she loves my husband. She used to hate men, and now she won't snuggle with me. She just wants my husband and just my husband, and I'm the one that adopted her. Those kind of videos like that. And they actually use that term. In a recent video, they said, the dog has imprinted upon you and you have imprinted upon the dog.
Yeah.
And so I've always felt that what we do is when we take an animal, especially one that's a companion, we give them a piece of ourselves. And that's why eventually they will start to look like us. I don't know if you've seen this phenomenon of people looking like their animals, but I think it's because we actually give them a part of our consciousness. We give them a part of our code. And so when they leave us, it really feels like we've lost a part of ourselves because we've given it to that being. And that being then I think goes back into the matrix, gets recycled, but can also come back in a different form. And coming back in dreams, absolutely. I mean, what was the dream like? Were there any messages in the dream? Or was it just to come back and just remind you, hey, I'm still here, you're not alone?
Yeah, it was like a protection, but when it happened many times because I had many cats and many dogs as I was younger. When my last cat died, it was like a crazy time. But when that cat appeared to me the second time, it was like a huge big lion cat, and he said, "Don't worry, I'm here to protect you. Just go to sleep. Just take it easy. It's okay. Don't be afraid."
Wow. That's very interesting. I could see that happening. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful dream because it still shows that they're still protecting.
I felt like he was my protector or something.
Yeah, I think so too. We take on animal spirits. And, we've talked about these stories before. Cherie had a cat named Babette, and Cherie got really sick, and Babette laid on her chest. And Babette wound up dying about 3 months later, and Cherie got better. I was having heart problems too when I was about 25, and Skittles did the same thing, and then he wound up dying of congestive heart failure. And I think what they did is both of them, they took that from us, and they carried it upon themselves, and that was part of their purpose of coming to help. But no, they're definitely spirits that are protecting spirits. And it's wonderful to hear that you're still in contact with them. I haven't dreamed about Snickers and Skittles ever. I think I did once or twice, but it's been a long, long, long time. But it's interesting how we connect with these little furry little things. And, it's an energy exchange. That's the way I see this whole world. This whole world is an energy exchange. You have the lion that eats the antelope. The antelope, it defecates and it makes the grass grow. And, there's a whole cycle. There's a whole energy exchange. And, we eat the animals and they give us energy and all of that. And also we have the animals that are our companions. And our companions, we give them love, we give them shelter, we give them food, we give them everything. In return, they give us love, they give us energy, they give us healing. I know when I'm not feeling well, one of the cats will come up and crawl up on me, and I just feel so much better just holding one of the cats. And, there's something about the creative energy, too, because every time we do a show, or every time I'm sitting here trying to do music, both cats will come in and they one in my lap right when I'm in my creative frequency. When I'm downstairs laying on the couch, vegging out, watching TV, they don't want anything to do with me. I try to pick them up, they'll run away from me. As soon as I'm in my creative energy, they're all over me. So I think they're picking up on frequency and energy too. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But also, it happened also outside of dreams. It was kind of like when my cats died, it was kind of like merging, kind of, because after that happened with my cats in early age, it was like they were always with me and protecting me, like almost I could call upon them kinda. Have you felt that before?
Oh, wow. I have to say no, I haven't felt that, but I can definitely visualize it, and I can definitely see that. I can feel a lot of protective energies around me. I never really ascribed them to any of the animals, but then again, I've never had animals that were protectors. My little chihuahuas, they were companions rather than protectors. Sekhmet and Bastet, our cats, are protectors. They are definitely very, very, very high frequency. And knock on wood, whenever they leave, I think I'm going to also feel the same thing. And I think it's different with cats. So I think that might be the difference here. But I felt my mother around. I felt my grandmother around. I can feel these protective energies still around and still helping out. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Totally
I think you're onto something, man. I think it's something I need to look into a little bit further, but I think you're onto something. Thank you for enlightening me with that.
Yeah, it's nice to say it to someone.
Wonderful.
Also,
What were your cats' names?
Marty was the first one. Misha was the second. It was like Persian cats.
Misha?
Black Persian cat. Misha, yes.
Oh,
Misha and Marty.
Misha was actually the name of my first girlfriend. Me and Misha got into so much trouble together. It's not even funny, but oh, I can picture them. Misha is such a perfect name for a Persian cat.
Yeah. Fluffy Persian cat.
Am I correct? Are they a little snooty? Like, are they a little stuck up? Because they look a little stuck up.
Yeah, they have a short nose. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a short nose. Flat nose.
And they know we're very expensive cats. Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, do you have any pets now?
Also, no, not right now. But I'm looking forward to get one, a new one, cat maybe.
I understand. When I lost Snickers and Skittles, it took 6 years or 5 years for me to be able to get Sekhmet and Bastet because when they leave, they take so much from your heart that, I mean, for people like yourself and for people like me, and I know that there's a lot in the chat listening, they become like your children. They are your children. I mean, they're part of your family. And what infuriates me the most is when I see people treating animals horrible. I mean, that's my pet peeve. Like, if you're mean to an animal, then you are a shit person, in my humble opinion, because those animals are so helpless. They can't fight back, and they have no reason to. They have no reason to be treated like that. But I can tell that the loss was very much like losing a child, and so I understand. But when you're ready, one will appear, or two. I've always said this with cats: you got to get two. Because if you get one, that's not fair for the cat. You got to get two. It's not that much extra work. And
I actually had a dog and a cat at the same time, though.
Oh, yeah.
So
I bet they got along great.
I had a black cat. What?
I bet they got along great.
Yeah, they did. The dog was actually a Tibetan Spaniel from Tibet.
Oh, that's beautiful. If we get a dog, we've talked about this before, we're going to get a pharaoh hound. That's the Egyptian, the Egyptian dog, and we're going to name him Anubis. But I don't know. Those things are fast. They're like, they're like little greyhounds, and they need a lot of room. They need a lot of attention. They need to be able to run around and run fast in large spaces. And I don't know. That's the only thing stopping me. And they're very expensive too.
Yeah, it costs a lot.
Yeah. Well, brother, thank you so much for the call, man. Thank you, because calls like this, they bring up these memories. I remember Snickers and Skittles. We had a cat named Federica when I was little, and another one named Grigio, which means gray. We had another one named Scatula, which means little shit, and of course Bebe. Yeah, so yeah,
it's nice. Yeah. Thanks for the call, anyways.
Thank you for the call, brother. Love you.
Thanks. Love you. See you. Shuri.
Oh man, I love talking to the tribe. You guys and gals are Amazing. Sheree had to take off for a second, so she took off without refilling my coffee, which, it's not her responsibility to refill my coffee, but it's nice when she does. So I got to take a quick break real quick, and I'll be right back. Right. So much unreleased music. The curse of being an Aries. I need to just release it. I get to the point where I'm like, I'm not 100% happy with this. I'm going to work on it later. And it never gets worked on. It's the curse of the Aries. It's you start projects and you don't finish them. But that was a great project that Sherry and I did together. And I want to say thank you, too, for everybody in the chat. There was a lot of people who were saying they really appreciate the Dimitri Darko thing. And if I can share a personal story with you guys and gals. Chris B, thank you very much. What the fuck, LOL, I just started eating cake by myself as Mad World started playing. Nice. I love it. So, you should see the video. I put a video together and it's just like all these empty places and it's empty bars and empty everything. The thing is, I never released it because it I put it off for so long. We did the song, we did the video, and then I wanted to go back and redo Cherie's vocals, and then she broke her leg, and then we waited for her leg to heal, and then by the time everything was said and done, the whole lockdown was over. I mean, at least at the extent that it was, but that's what that song was about. And the visuals are, everything is empty. Empty train stations, empty clubs, empty everything. But I might put it back together. But I just want to say thank you for, the comments on the Dimitri Darko thing. It's this tattoo that I got here was part of that Dimitri Darko journey, and I actually have an appointment. Well, this is what happened. I have a tattoo artist, and she has this beautiful scarab beetle she was going to do over it. And I thought to myself, you know what, this is a symbol of death. We need to do a symbol of life instead. And it's a beautiful blue scarab beetle, and she had it perfect to where all these numbers are covered up by the design of the scarab beetle on the inside. And so it's going to look beautiful. It's going to look beautiful. I might have shared the story with you before, but she has this boyfriend. And this guy is an asshole. I mean, she had to take pictures of finishing up the tattoo because she had to stay late to do this one and for me and Cherie. And she sent him a picture as a timestamp of when she left. And I'm like, that's not a healthy relationship. And she's like, yeah, I know. So I made an appointment with her, and I wound up partying the night before, and I missed the appointment, and it was at noon, and I called her at 2, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was partying all night last night, and I completely dropped the ball, and I can be up there in an hour. And she's like, no, I can't see you. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. She's like, I'm going to need a deposit from you, from now on. And I was like, okay, that's no problem. So we set up another time. We sent her a deposit, and we missed one E in her name on the PayPal. So we sent it, and I go up there to go get the tattoo done on the scheduled time. And she goes, well, I don't have you scheduled. And she's like, why not? And I'm like, why not? And she's like, I never got the PayPal. And I said, well, here's where we sent it, right here. And she goes, oh, you sent it to the wrong address. And I was like, okay. And, I told her, I said, I'm going through some stuff right now. I apologize for dropping the ball on this. I've just been in kind of a dark place, and I really needed to have a little bit of fun. And my friends came knocking on the door and literally grabbed me and dragged me out of the house. And I feel completely and totally rejuvenated. And she writes me back, and I could tell it wasn't her writing, but it was her boyfriend. I don't care what's going on with your personal life. This is my business. I'm a professional, this and that, et cetera, et cetera. And I totally understand that. We tipped her $100 on these tattoos. We tipped her $200 on the other one. These are large tips, in my opinion, for tattoos. But we did so because, number one, she did great work. And number two, we thought we were friends. And she made it abundantly clear in that text message, I'm not your friend. I don't care about anything about what's going on in your life. I understand if it was a consistent thing. I've missed dentist appointments before, and they tell me, hey, if this happens again, we got to charge you a deposit. No problem. Okay, I understand that. But it wasn't the deposit that bothered me. I sent her the deposit already. I just haven't gone back to go get the tattoo because I felt like, you don't care about me as a person. I'm just a customer to you. I thought we were friends, and we've talked as friends, and all that stuff, and we've taken extra special care of you, and not just out of love. We've shown you nothing but love, but you've got this boyfriend who's so fucking tyrannous in your life. It made me lose a little bit of respect for her, because I'm like, how can you let a man treat you like that? So I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys and gals think in the chat room. She does amazing work. That's the thing. I don't think anybody could cover this up the way that she can. And that's the only thing that is making me go, man, I need to set up an appointment with her. But she tried to set up an appointment with me January 1st at 12 p.m. And I'm like, this is the day after New Year's. We're going to run into the exact same situation if we set up an appointment on January 1st at noon. Okay, I'm partying the night before, and then you're gonna expect me to go get tattooed at noon. I'm gonna be sleeping until 2 or 3 o'clock, and I'm not gonna make it. So I didn't set up the appointment with her. Then she texted me again, and she's like, "Hey, I want to set up that appointment with you," but I never got back to her because I'm feeling that energy, and I'm feeling like it hurt to hear. I don't care about you as a person. I don't care what you're going through, and I'm like, I don't know. I was thinking, I'll just go in there and just get the tattoo and that's it. But that's the thing, a tattoo, a massage, you're letting somebody into your sacred space, and their energy and their code is being, it's merging with yours in one way or another. And she's so talented, but I don't know. I don't know if I can go back and do that. And I'd like to get this covered up. But now you guys are telling me you love the Dimitri Darko thing, and so maybe that's all a sign. Maybe it's all like, I'm not supposed to get it covered up. Maybe I need to go do the Dimitri Darko thing bigger and better and harder, and because it's brought inspiration to a lot of people. So yeah, I'm obviously sad about the whole situation. So yeah, everybody's saying screw her. That's what I'm thinking too. And it's a shame. And it's not her. And you know what? Her mom does the removal for me. And her mom and I are really good friends. And what even added insult to injury is that the week before this, her mom called me and I was on the way to the appointment to get the removal. And she said, "Hey, do you mind if we reschedule? Because I have some personal things that came up. And, I can get you in, no problem. But I was just wondering if you would be open to that." And I said, "Yeah, of course. We're friends, of course, we'll reschedule it for another time, no big deal, And we were already driving, like we were already almost there. And I get the phone call and I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. Of course, we're friends." And then her daughter treats me like that, like the very next week. And so she doesn't know about the interaction with her mother and how I was like, totally cool with her mother having to reschedule last minute like that. But I don't know. It's a shame. It is. It makes me sad. We'll see what happens though. But anyways, what the point of all that is, I appreciate you guys appreciating the Dimitri Darko thing, and maybe that's a sign that we need to move it forward. So let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to area code 573. What's your name and what's on your mind tonight?
Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Oh, hey. I'm so surprised that it was me.
It is. But if I
on
can get you to do me a favor, if you can hold just one moment, I just need to reconnect because I think we've got a dodgy internet signal. So give me just 1 second. All right, let me reconnect that, and we'll get back to this here in just a moment. All right, there we go. What's your name and what's on your mind tonight?
My name's Renee, and I just want to tell you guys, you and Cherie, I think you're fabulous. I was pretty much thrown down the rabbit hole a couple of years back, and I'm 52 years old, and everything I was ever taught was wrong and upside down. I'm kind of nervous. Sorry.
No, thank you very much for the acknowledgement and for the love. And likewise, thank you for all the love that you've been sending, because it's an equal energy exchange. We all elevate each other, and that's what's beautiful about speaking with the tribe and sharing their stories. What is your story? What's going on in Renee's world?
Well, I'm doing a lot better since I basically have met you guys, and I tuned out, because when you fall down that rabbit hole, I mean, it can take you in places, and you got to discern pretty much what feels right and what's, leading you wrong or leading you right, and I pretty much follow the BT tribe and JCK and Mark Atwood and everybody else. Pretty much I don't. So.
Oh, well, thank you. You know, we definitely don't want anybody to feel like, you know, that we're telling people not to listen to certain people or do this or do that. We speak our minds here, and I've seen a lot of BS, and it's a waste of time, and sometimes it can even lead people in the wrong direction. But I'm so happy to hear
that. Oh, they try real hard.
Do they? They do. I mean, I don't know if they do it on purpose, though. That's the thing. I know. I could tell you one person for sure, and I've called this guy out before, and this is the only guy I'll ever call out by name. But David Wilcock, and there's a whole backstory behind it, and the Corey Good thing, and you know all of that. That was a big money making scheme, and now I see it's even to push people into the whole new norm. And it was infuriating. And then being on the other side of that, where you know the truth, you're speaking the truth. And everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying this. I can't believe you're saying this. Then you get vindicated several years later, and everybody's like, oh, well, I guess that guy was full of shit. But it's funny. But I'm so happy to hear that we're inspiring you. As I say before, each person has their own path. And we're just sharing our path, and we hope that people borrow from our path, get inspired by our path, find their own path, and put all the pieces together however they see them, because we all have a different perspective. It's like looking at, I don't know if you've seen that picture of all the blind people feeling an elephant, and they're saying, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. That's how I feel that we all are. We're all, we all have, a little vision or a perspective of something, and it's not until we all come together and share all of those puzzle pieces that we can really understand, or even come close to understanding the full picture.
I want you all to know, What Does a Sheep Say is one of my favorite songs, and so is my granddaughters and my adopted grandchildren. They love it.
Aww.
I try to plant a few seeds like that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And, yeah.
That's actually, it's actually a kid's song. And I remember a good friend of mine, I drove him crazy because he brought his daughter over, and I played the original What Does the Fox Say? And she loved it. She was bouncing around, she was doing all that, and she played that song so much that it drove him crazy. Every day it was, I want to hear, what does the fox say? 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 And he called me and he's like, Chris, don't ever show my kid anything like that ever again. It's like the equivalent of buying.
Yeah, but we have to plant little seeds.
No. This is
they're out there planting other seeds.
No, this was the original one, not the What Does the Sheep Say, but it was the original. Because it was a parody of a real famous song called What Does the Fox Say? I got you. Yeah. So it was the original, but he said it's like an uncle giving his niece a drum set. Making all the noise and bam, 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 bam. But what are we going to do? But thank you for that. It's nice to hear the kids are picking up on it and getting those nuggets of truth in those. We should do more of that. Now that I think about it, like a whole kids series about, truth
it's
stuff
definitely
related.
Needed. I have a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old that asks questions, and I have to kind of pick and choose because the parents aren't on the same level that I am. Because, they're too busy being pretty much a slave like I used to be. You go to work, you pay your bills, you get up and you do it again. You don't look around.
Yeah. It's that's what we have to do in this matrix, and I don't think this is the way it was designed. I think it was designed to where we can create and we can be who we need to be, but unfortunately, the way the system has been taken over and hijacked, that's what people have to think about. And that's the whole elite's plan, in my opinion, is to keep people in a place to where they have just enough, and what they're focused on is maintaining their lifestyle, maintaining whatever it is that they have. And they're not paying attention to what's going on in the grand scheme of things, give people just enough to survive and be somewhat happy, but at the same time, not enough to where they can focus on what's going on in the world. And that's been the ploy from the very, very, very beginning. Yeah. But we're breaking that. We're breaking through that.
Well, it hit me hard in 2019. Basically, for a while, I never told anybody, but I was getting pulled at night. My foot was getting pulled on, and one night I woke up, someone pulling my arms like halfway off the bed, and basically the universe was telling me after an abusive 30-year marriage, it was time to get up out of there.
Oh, wow.
And I had to pretty much lose everything and everyone and hit really low, and then I could see things and go within, basically, like you all talk about all the time. It's inside you. But I didn't know any of that as I was going through it, and I got to where, what do you call it, a minotaur or whatever, I didn't even know what it was, following me around and was over me constantly. I mean, like, literally physical drip. It was horrible. It was horrible. I couldn't even walk outside without getting dripped on. It was in my car. My daughter-in-law would be with me at that time, and sunny skies, whatever, and an oil drip would drip on my car. Any reaction I had, I couldn't order French fries, and they'd mess up my order. It was just terrible. Or they'd get aggressive and be mean. It was bad.
I noticed that in my journey as well. If I'm not walking the path that I'm supposed to be walking, everything will start to crumble around me. No matter what I try to do, will not work out. And it just seems like everything, it's like hitting a brick wall over and over and over and over again. And it's something we learned when we were navigating Egypt. It was, don't try to open a door that doesn't want to open. There were a lot of places and temples that we wanted to go to that we just couldn't get the doors to open. And so we realized, hey, hold on, let's not try to bang on these doors. Let's go look for the open doors. Where is this path leading us? And I take that as allegorical for life itself. And so when you find yourself in a situation to where you're constantly failing at whatever it is that you're doing, or you're getting certain reactions from people, I think that's a sign from the universe that says, hey, I'm on the wrong path. I need to change something up significantly. And in your case, it was a 30-year abusive relationship. And that's traumatic. It takes a little bit of time to heal.
It was like a train wreck. I could see it happening and know things were coming out of my mouth, and I was like, why did I even say that? It's like, because I couldn't stop the train wreck. I knew it was going to happen, but I just couldn't. My stomach would hurt. I didn't know anything about intuition. I didn't know, and I was like dumb, naive. I didn't know anything, and it just was very much an eye-opener. Then once I could see things, literally, little shadow things. For an example, my granddaughter says, someone's in my closet at night, so I made a big show to tell it to leave, and it wasn't welcome and everything. And the shadow thing come flying out of there. And I kind of looked at her, and she looked at me and didn't say no more about it. I said, well, it's gone, But I didn't used to could see things like that.
Wow.
Could tell, like you could come in a room and it would be tense or whatever. I can now feel things around people and see things. I don't know what to do with it all, but it's, yeah.
Well, take it in one step at a time. And it's apparently something that's always been inside you that's now opening up. And it was energies that were around that you disconnected from. As you said, you got away from a 30-year abusive relationship, which must have been very, very, very difficult. I mean, you have anything for an extended period of time, be it a car, a pet, a relationship, a friend, anything in life that is so constant that all of a sudden is gone. It's going to take a little bit of time to process, and it's going to take a little bit of time to grieve and all of that. But at the same time,
well, you talk about a cat coming into your life and so forth. I had a feral cat come into my life right at that time, and she stayed with me. And when the bad things were around, she would look over my head and just claw and scratch to get away. She could see it. I could feel it, but at that point I couldn't see it.
Oh, wow.
But then when I could finally see it, yeah. But your animals will tell you, that's for sure.
Oh
when
yeah,
it's good
yeah.
or bad. And
Our cats are the friendliest cats in the world. It's amazing because when people have come over that we've known, from the show, other hosts on TFR, things like that, and they're like, "Oh my God, their cats are really as cool as they look on air. They're so friendly." There was this one guy, we were staying in a hotel, and there was this one guy that walked by, and I have never seen them act this way ever. They both were hissing and clawing and wanting to get away from this guy, and this
They
guy,
looked scared of him
Yeah.
and like they wanted to hurt him at the same time.
and this guy just looked at Cherie and said, "Yeah, cats,
Right.
cats don't like me." They felt his energy. There was something
yeah,
going
there was
on.
something wrong with
Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can tell when
they
something's
can
wrong with
see.
people. They can see energy the
Well-
same way we can see. The way I've had it described to me before is that, and she described it to me this way. Bastet did while I was having an experience one time. I asked her, why they are the way they are because they act so weird sometimes, and she said, "Well, imagine being the way you are right now all the time. That's how I feel all the time. We see the way you see on psychedelics all the time."
Right.
Wow.
Well, you talk about grays and so forth. About 2007, I noticed at that point I didn't know anything about drones or satellites or anything. I thought it was a star, but it just wasn't right. Something told me it wasn't right. Well, then after about 2019, after I left that, because I just left everything to him, everything, that came with me. And if I went across the country, like I've been to South Dakota, I've been to Michigan, I've been New Orleans, no matter where, it will follow me. I have done a U-turn on the interstate, and it will do a U-turn. And my cat, I can tell when they're going to come and visit at night or whatever. She will stand at the back French doors, and she doesn't meow because I said she was feral or whatever, but she growls like at it. And one time I seen the shadow of and I guess some type of, I don't know what it was. The only thing I know, it has a big head and spindly arms and 3 fingers. And I could see the shadow reach down and pet her.
Interesting. Have you ever told them that they're not welcome?
Yes. I mean, at first, like I said, I was Catholic and all that stuff. I had the priest out here in the whole 9 yards, Of course, then you're labeled crazy and whatever. And then I finally realized that this is not the path. This is not right. And then I found you guys and started doing more research and I don't know what to do about it. I'm looking for an Egyptian sun disk, basically, because I still get visitations and whatnot. I can actually hear them. It's a low hum. It's almost like an engine outside because I'm in a very rural area. There's not, like street lights and all that kind of stuff. We don't have that. And then you can hear it. You can hear like something above the house just hovering, but you can't see anything. But my dog won't go outside when they're here, like at night. I have to physically walk him out into the grass. And sometimes even at that point, he won't leave between my legs. And we have to turn around and come back in. And this is a big dog.
You can get an Egyptian sun disk even as small as a pennant. You can draw one. There's nothing in particular. We happen to have these 2 beautiful decorations over our doors, and we have one up above on our screen up at the top. But I think that symbol is more. I mean, it's symbolic. I don't mean to put it like that, but it's symbolic, and it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it's made out of. But I think a little small pennant or something like that would help. I mean, they're only like $5 or $6 on Amazon, and it would be interesting to see if that helps. But most importantly, it's the proclamation of you're not welcome here. I break all contracts that I have with you or any other entities, and you are no longer welcome in my space, period. End of story. And they'll continue to try to come.
I say that.
Yeah. They'll continue to try.
I say that. I may try to draw one. I have done, like, I bought tuning forks. I've got crystals, and this is all new to me. But the crystals kind of scare me because I don't know enough about them. I know you have to clear them and all that kind of stuff. But I guess confident wise, that goes back into the 30 years of, but
I'm not too big into crystals either, but crystals are more, in my humble opinion, conductors of energy and information. So pink quartz, for example, we send out with all of our life, and it's just infused with love. It's infused with positive energy. It's infused with healing energy, and crystals have been always more to transfer energy through. But other than that, I haven't really been big on crystals. So I don't blame you.
I
I'm
want
right
to
there
plug
with
your
you.
Iowa Life.
Aw.
I did order that, and it is great. And I did a dabble with a pendulum, trying to see, because I had tried some other CBD, and it just was not. I don't know what was wrong with it, but it made my ears ring, and it just wasn't right. And so those all come up negative. Your Iowa Life comes up positive, and my cat absolutely loves it. It's the only thing. For some reason, she started vomiting. I changed her diet and stuff. Nothing would work. Started her on Iowa Life, and she absolutely loves it.
Oh, that's so great
that
to
is
hear.
Wonderful.
We know what it's like having a sick
And
cat.
her vomiting stopped. Her vomiting stopped.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Oh, thank you for that.
Thank you.
We used it. We used the BCAPI in it as well, and we extract the CBD and make sure that it's pure. And I think, unfortunately, it's an unregulated market, and you have a lot of impurities out there. You have a lot of stuff that has THC. You have a lot of stuff that has waxes and oils and fats and stuff like that. And some people just don't mesh with all of that extra stuff that's in there. They do it the lazy way and sell it, and it tastes like garbage. And I've heard a lot of people having negative reactions to it, and a lot of times they put preservatives and things like that in there to make it last longer as well. And they do an ethanol extraction, and so a lot of it can contain a lot of ethanol as well, which is where you get kind of that kind of really bitter taste and almost a burning sensation sometimes in some of the CBDs out there. Now, there's some that are great. I haven't tried them all. I'm sure there's got to be some that are great, but I know that we take the extra steps.
I tried several different ones, and they all were like that. And I just, like I said, I got that dowsing thing just to basically kind of learn my own tuition and that kind of stuff. And that was the only thing that come up positive. And I was taking it myself, and the cat would come up, Mellow Yellow is her name, and she would just try to grab it.
Oh,
I'm like, here, take some.
So hold on.
Yes, she knew what was good for her.
You were doing dowsing on the Iowa Life itself?
And it came back positive as positive energy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And all the other came back up negative.
Yeah, negative energy on all the other ones.
I had like 4 different kinds, and Iowa Life was the only one that came up.
I would not doubt that one bit, considering all the rituals that I do making it, and then even our processing team does rituals before they send it out. So all of that put together, I'm sure.
Well, we
that's
greatly
why.
appreciate it. You can tell all the love and care that you guys do.
Oh, that's so great to hear.
It comes through.
Oh, that makes me feel so good.
We're gonna move on to another call, but oh my God, thank you so much.
That was amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. We love you.
We love you too.
And the kitty as well.
Let me know how things go. Like I said, even a small little Sundance.
I can show you some awesome pictures. I have a lot of awesome pictures that I would like to share with you privately, if it's allowed.
Oh yeah.
Because no, I mean if they'll allow me to send them.
Oh, okay. I see.
They black them out. They loop them. They have fried SIM cards. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Well,
but it would be, you would probably enjoy them, and I would love to hear some astrology.
Yeah, definitely, and take whatever precautions that you need to take.
Chris could probably get some of these unblacked and unlooped for me, probably, because I'm not technical. I'm old lady grandma here.
Send them our way, and we'll check them out.
Okay.
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 Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Love
you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Love you.
Love you.
Oh, wow.
That was so. That made us feel amazing.
Yeah, I read it in the chat room all the time. People are always raving about IO-Life. Like I said, I gave some to my dentist, and my dentist, I go in there next time, and it wasn't the dentist; it was the dentist assistant. And I said, "Oh my God, you look like you've been working out." And she goes, "Nope, I've been using your product." And she's got like 5 people in her family using it.
Nice.
And she had
That is
COPD
so
or
great.
something like that. I don't remember exactly what
Yeah.
it was, but she said,
A
you know, they said
chronic
there was
disease
no,
of some
yeah,
sort.
there was no solution for it. And ever since I started using her product, everything is working great.
Yeah.
And meeting people face to face, hearing people calling in, reading it in the chat room, it's incredible. Like,
Yeah, it really is.
I'm still having trouble wrapping my mind over how big this is. And I think it's, not only the process, not only the ingredients, we really infuse those crystals that we send out with lots of positive energy. We do all the rituals, we do everything like that. And I think what happens is the energy from the crystals infuses into the crystals that are in the IO-Life as well. And it just turns it into a positive, loving, I don't know what to call it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's not a product.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
it is to a degree, but it's so much more.
It's almost like an entity of its own that's made of energy that's taken from the love that we have for each other and the love that the tribe has for
I think
itself.
the crystals were the best idea that we've ever
Yeah,
had.
that was
Because we dropped 7 of
really
them
amazing.
in Egypt. And then we
Mhm.
connected them to crystals we had here. Then
Mhm.
we connect those crystals to all the crystals that we send out. We charge them all in the moonlight. We do the whole washing process. We do all of that.
Yeah.
And wow,
I think it makes all the difference,
When we make
obviously.
the IO-Life too, we do it in the same manner of which we make the ayahuasca.
Yeah, it's very
So
similar.
we do the saging, we do the clearing of energy. We are always playing positive, uplifting music.
It's even the same kind of pots. It's not the same pots, but it's the same kind of pots, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very similar. Yeah. But we do the same spiritual aspects of it, and yeah, we can't mass produce it
Yeah, we treat
for
it
that
as
reason
though we.
because it's a sacred plant.
Yeah, that would be like
It's a
mass
sacred
producing
plant
ayahuasca.
medicine.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
So
for those of you interested, we do still have the buy one get one free coupon. You can go to ayalife.com, ayalife.com. I'll say that slower, ayalife.com, like ayahuasca. Put you 46810 in your cart, and of the single bottles, go to checkout and type in BTV Tribe, like our Patreon, patreon.com/BTV Tribe. BTV Tribe, all lowercase, hit apply, and you will get buy one, get one free. And we're going to continue doing that as long as we can. So thank you very much for the beautiful phone call and the plug on IO-Life too. I wasn't even planning on saying anything about it, but
thank you so much
thank
for
you.
that.
Yeah. We still have several callers on the call board, so let's go to 315. 315, what's your name? What's on your mind tonight?
Hi, this is J.R. Fava.
J.R.
aka Johnny
Fava!
Hey, JR.
What's up, brother?
How you doing?
Good,
How you doing?
good.
How's life in Clark County?
Oh man, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. I actually watched that movie, Clark County, and I couldn't get through the whole thing, but it was
Okay.
It was
It's
great.
Okay. It's pretty grunge.
It was a little grungy, but it was really cool to see you in there, and even cooler to see your freaking tattoo. For people that don't know, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but JR has this tattoo of the Dimitri Darko bunny on his shoulder, and it's a huge tattoo. And he actually had the actor, what's his name, something Druval.
James Duval.
James Duval autograph it, and he sent me the video of him autographing it. Then he got the autograph incorporated into the tattoo, which was the inspiration behind me getting my Donnie Darko tattoo. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and then JR posted his, and I was like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, man, thank you for the inspiration on that.
Oh yeah, it was pretty interesting the way we connected on that whole thing.
Oh, for sure.
And that's what I wanted to kind of call. That's what I kind of wanted to call in about. I want to give you a little background on me, not to get into a long-winded call, but I've been awake since 9/11, like a lot of people. That's when I woke up, I should say, and I've been waking up more and more as each day progresses. And I've come to the conclusion that we do live in a simulation. I mean, I don't look at it as a theory anymore because I've had personal life experiences that pretty much, to me personally, confirm that we do live in some kind of an artificial reality. And I wanted to give you a little story as an example of why I started to think that way. Back in 2015, I heard that there was an actor in upstate New York that was on the show, The Sons of Anarchy. He was making some films in upstate New York. And I started thinking about how cool that would be if I could meet this guy. And I didn't even know who it was at the time, right? And then I heard later, a short time later, that it was Ron Perlman who played Hellboy, and he's been in a ton of other movies. I don't know if you two ever watched The Sons of Anarchy, but I love the show.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Me too. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
I should watch it.
Yeah. You probably saw Hellboy once or twice, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, I'm thinking about it. It's like, geez, I'd love to meet this guy, meet Ron Perlman, and work on the movie that they're doing. And I didn't even know what it was called yet. And this was back in, like, I'd say July of 2015. And I just started thinking about that on a daily basis. I want to meet Ron Perlman and work on this movie, you know? And then, I don't know, we're talking a few months roll by, and I worked for Colgate University at the time. I don't know if you ever heard of that college, but they're over in Hamilton, New York. And I worked at the bookstore, and one of my coworkers came in and says, hey, Ron Perlman's across the street having lunch. So it's like, oh, I think I'll go over there and introduce myself. So I did. I met him, shook his hand, told him who I was, and told him I have a background in photography, and I wanted to shoot behind-the-scenes video on his film. And that's exactly what I was thinking I wanted to do before I met him. And we shook hands, took a picture together, and that was the end of that. And then I got an interview, I don't know, a short time later with the production manager. And I showed him some work that I had done prior, and goes, oh, I like your work, but we don't have nothing for you. It's like, oh, damn. So a few weeks go by, and then I heard that Ron Perlman was getting ready to do a shoot that day, and he was hanging out at the bar with his dog. And so I went over. I walked out of work, and I walked over because they're shooting the movie right in the town of Hamilton, by the way. And the name of the movie was called Pottersville. You can look it up on Netflix. And my name is in the credits. And anyhow, I got a call, and they said, we need you on the set right now. And it's like, holy shit. And then I'm sorry, I got to back up a little bit. I met Ron Perlman at the bar, and then I told him how I interviewed for the film, and if he saw my work that I did, my photography and my video work. And he says, no, but I'll have him send it over. And then before I walked away, I gave him this thing, which was a Bigfoot call, which is like a bird call. It was given to me as a gag gift a couple months prior to that from a friend. The movie what the movie was about is Bigfoot, and I gave him this Bigfoot call. And I told him, Ryan, I want you to have this. It was a gag gift given to me for my 50th birthday, and I want you to have it. He says, oh, no, I can't take it from you. But it's like, no, really, Ryan, I want you to have it. 2 days after that happened, I got the call, and that's when I started working on the movie, doing exactly what I wanted to do in my mind several months prior to that. Nice. So that's the story. Does that sound a little crazy to you guys?
Wow.
Or am I just crazy?
No. That is awesome, man. That is awesome. Up on the screen here, I have returned to Clark County. So for anybody wondering, J.R. Fava is the gentleman down here on the bottom left. And you played the police officer, correct? A retired Army
James
major.
Winfield.
Yeah.
And we're actually just began shooting a third one. Return to Clark County 3.
Oh, that is awesome. We need to sit down and finish it.
That's in the works. So here's an interesting thing, though. Okay,
well, hold on, real quick, before you get into that, I noticed the girl on the left is wearing a mask. Interesting. And this movie came out a while back. It doesn't have anything to do with COVID, but
we shot it in 2018, I believe.
Yeah. So it's interesting that she's wearing a mask, huh? Okay, but I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. No worries. So anyhow, the movie though had like a lot of like big actors in it, but one of them was Michael Shannon, and I got to shoot video and take pictures on the movie set. And I can send you all the stuff that I did. I got it on a Google Drive. You can look at through some of my work that I did. But anyhow, here's an interesting little thing as far as Matrix goes. Okay, I had a person on Facebook friend me, and I didn't even know who it was, and he turned out to be a writer, film director who did a movie with Michael Shannon, his first movie, okay? He did a movie, and I didn't know this, and I have no idea why he friended me, other than maybe he heard about me working on that film, okay? Well, he later did another movie called Siberia. Guess who starred in it? Keanu Reeves.
Oh, wow.
And him and I have corresponded. I corresponded with this director, okay? And he that basically makes it 2-degree separation between me and Keanu Reeves, which we know is the star of the Matrix. It's like, wow, okay. If that universe is trying to talk to me, then I guess that's a good way of doing it.
Well, we have an interesting story to share with you too. The people that make the cameras for the Matrix 4 reached out to us right when we came back from Egypt, and they wanted to introduce us to Keanu Reeves, and they hang out with Keanu all the time. Brad Pitt, all this. They were legit. They had pictures of all of them, all hanging out and everything like that. They stay in Keanu's summer home sometimes in France or wherever it was, and so I've got 2 degrees of separation between us and Keanu as well. That's interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
2 degrees.
Yeah. She told us about the Matrix 4 way before it was announced, and we kind of knew about it because they did the cameras for it, but we couldn't say anything to anybody about it.
I get you. Yeah, Matthew Ross is the film director, by the way. That's who I'm friends with on Facebook. Who, like I said, we actually did chat to it and Messenger, corresponded and stuff. And the movie was called Siberia. And they actually shot the film in Russia. So if you get bored, you want to watch a film with Keanu Reeves in it that you haven't seen before, that will be the movie. But
okay,
I will warn you,
it's nothing like any. I'm sorry, give me the name one more time.
Siberia.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's unlike any Keanu Reeves movie you've ever seen before. I'm going to warn you. It's very different. So that's interesting. Yeah, we have that 2-degree separation thing going on there. Quite interesting. And then there's another thing with Clark County I wanted to mention too. A little side note: there's a guy I talked to in the jail cell in early on in the film, and he is the brother of. Let me remember this actor. He's John Ciso. He's a big guy.
Cicina, that's it. Yeah. I saw that scene. Yeah.
Steven Cena is his brother, and he's in the movie with me.
I saw
John
that scene.
Cena's brother.
Yeah.
That talk about being in a small world, though, right?
I know. I was more interested. I gotta be upfront with you. I was more interested in checking out the tattoo.
That's cool, guy. I just do these movies for fun. I mean, I have no intention of getting famous or anything like that. It's just a fun thing I do. I have a day job like a lot of people do, and I was able to keep my job and not be vaccinated.
Well, no. What I meant by that is I flipped it on, and we were
I should have said that word. I'm sorry.
We sat down to watch it, and I was like, there's a tattoo, and then I got preoccupied with something else, and we never got through the whole thing, but I was so excited to see the tattoo.
Yeah, it's a great tattoo. And the guy that did it actually is an actor who I met on a movie set. He and his day job was tattoo artist. It's like, well, guess what? You're going to be my first you're gonna be my tattoo artist because it all kind of fits together right here. So he did. I got a phoenix on one arm, and then I got the bunny, Frank the Bunny, on the other arm with the James Duval's signature on the bottom. So I'm pretty well set with the arm tattoos.
That is awesome, man. I'm trying to pull up the video here that you sent me. I know it's in our Facebook Messenger here somewhere, but I don't know. I can't
sign it in the arm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was epic, man. It was epic. But what did you think of I don't know if you watched the new Dexter. What did you think of the new Dexter?
I haven't been following Dexter, but I know I have watched Dexter though.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You talking about the series?
Yeah.
You talking about the series?
Yeah. They did a new series called New Blood, and it takes place 10 years after the last series. And they just had a really controversial ending, and so I didn't know if you were into that, and if you were, I wanted to get your perspective.
No, I'm sorry. I haven't been following that. I'm sorry, but I'm more of a Walking Dead fan kind of guy.
Okay. Nice.
But anyhow, there's one little quick thing I wanted to throw in too. That interesting thing is, I know you saw The Matrix 4, and I have mixed feelings on that movie. I don't want to get into it, but there was a scene in the movie where they walk through a door of light.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that scene?
And they wind up in another reality that's kind of sideways.
Yeah, well, I have a quick story here. This is when I was still married. I woke up one morning, and the doorway in front of our bedroom was completely filled with white light. It was probably like 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was, the sun was up, but there was so much white light in the doorway that you couldn't even see the hallway anymore. And it was pretty much like what you saw in the movie. I actually had that experience in real life.
Oh, wow.
With I was so shocked that I was like, what the fuck was exactly my words. My now ex-wife, she was sound asleep next to me, and I started shaking her to try to wake her up, and she was like in a coma, and she started to like wake up after like maybe 30 seconds of shaking, and when she started to wake up, though, the lights faded away, and then you could see the hallway again. But it was just like in the movie, completely filled with white light. But I did not get up out of bed and walk through it. I wish I did.
Oh, sorry. I'm flipping through the videos you've sent me, trying to find that video of the tattoo, but I can't find it. But
I sent you a lot of stuff that I haven't seen. Yeah.
I'm not on Facebook anymore. I keep getting freaking banned for the stupidest shit, and so I'm just like, you know what, fuck these guys. And then they have the audacity to send me, you're eligible for a verified badge because you're a recognizable name. That's why we've banned you all over the place. And I'm like, why would I want a verified badge on my profile from people who are constantly fucking banning me?
You're a big target.
I know.
I'm a little target. I've never been banned on Facebook, but I did create a group for controversial shit called Unity for World Freedom, just to so I could have people that I could be with, like relatives and friends who are awake like I am, that we could share information in. And Facebook has yet to shut their group down. All they do is like flag stuff, with the Snopes fact checking nonsense. But the group keeps going for whatever reason. So I just keep, sharing stuff in there.
Nice. It's become ridiculous, man. It's become ridiculous, everything that's been going on. But, what I'm thinking is the best way to put out truth is through movies and fiction. That's why you go back and you read a lot of the old philosophical books that were works of fiction that actually contained a whole lot of truth. They had to speak in code like that back then, and a lot of it had to be deciphered because the Catholic Church was coming through with the Inquisition. And it feels like we're in the exact same way, except in a digital age. I mean, we have to speak in code, we have to put our truth out through fictional work, movies, things like that. It's just Yeah. I guess it was before, as it was before, it is now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting really bad, but there are some breakthroughs now with, the Supreme Court. That's a great thing. I wish they did the same thing with the medical establishment, but they only did it for other, non-medical agencies. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one for the light, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of, I want to try to speak in code a little bit here. These kits, I'd recommend nobody use those kits.
Oh, the ones they're giving out for free? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend people just do not use those kits.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical about this whole kit thing with this narrative breaking down, and they're sending these kits out to everybody.
Yep. I am not sticking my nose in anything, period. Sorry. Or not sticking anything in my nose, I should say.
That's why any of the listeners that hear that, they can draw their own conclusions and use their own discernment, but that's just my feeling about the whole thing.
Not unless it comes off a hooker's breast. Then I'll put something in my nose then.
You're killing me, man.
Las Vegas jokes. All right, brother. Hey, thank you so much for the call, man. We love you. Great. Likewise, man.
Yeah,
likewise.
Be safe. Take care. Bye-bye.
Love ya.
Line muted.
Nope, I pressed the wrong
Line
button again.
unmuted.
I think my fingers got fatter. I know.
Oh, no.
Let's go to Toronto. Toronto, what's your name and what's on your mind tonight?
Hello, can you hear me?
There you are.
Yeah, this is Anish calling from the BTV chat.
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? You know, you're cutting. Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. I don't know. Are you on a cell phone or? It sounds like you have your mouth right on the phone.
How does this sound?
That sounds a little better. Go ahead and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, yeah. So like the past, I'd say like 2 or 3 years, I've just been, the whole just a conscious awakening, I guess you could say, and whatnot. But yeah, it feels like, especially now, like the last couple months at least, I've been remembering a lot of who I truly am, and I'd say listening to your content and whatnot, it's really, I guess you could say, like fast track my progress. So, like before I would listen to your content, like I had no clue of who I truly was or whatever. But after hearing your content, it's just like remembering on a different scale. Like it's just how fast everything I'm remembering is pretty crazy. And yeah, that's kind of what I want to say.
Oh man, that is awesome to hear, man. Thank you for that. I personally don't get into like, the inner gnosis about, who I am and all that. I don't know how much you want to get into, but if you'd like to share some revelations, I would love to hear them.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't really want to say much about it either because like I'm still learning and whatnot, but yeah, I basically just wanted to say like just kind of how I was feeling and how I'm just starting to remember everything. And I think I mentioned a couple of days ago in one of the live streams how I had the whole mushroom trip and whatnot, and like I was in the wheel of reincarnation. I sunk into my darkness, and then I got popped out for a bit. And yeah, like I feel like I'm just at that stage where it's like in between being like a whole NPC or whatever. Then now I'm on that path of where I'm on a mission now, and I'm just in that middle state.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. The awakening and the activation of the mission, that is, in my opinion, the funnest part of the journey. And what I was doing is I was rushing to get to the end of it. And I did. And then once I got to the end of it, I was like, damn it, the ride was so much funner than the destination. So I envy you in that sense because you're at the beginning of your journey, and the journey is the most beautiful part of it all. So savor every single moment and enjoy it. Enjoy the honest and the discovery and all of that. It's there's so much more that's going to be unlocked within you.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you say that because as I was in that trip, I was like, because you know how when you're tripping and everything, you seem to be downloading everything a lot faster and like you just think like a crazy speed. I remember I was like trying to get to the end as fast as I could, but then there was like how do I explain it? It's like imagine you have a spring and you have like the spring rate that returns back. I was like going too fast with the spring rate. I was like going too ahead of it. I wasn't actually like, if I stuck to that, like speeding towards the end, I just missed the whole experience. And now that you're saying that too, it's just it's just reassuring that kind of what I saw was, like there's no rush. You just got to enjoy the experience while I'm here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and you're absolutely right. Meditation is a good art form. Psychedelics isn't for everybody, but those who choose a psychedelic path, in my opinion, you've experienced it firsthand. It's just like mega downloads, unraveling of information, remembering a lot, dealing with traumas. It's just like, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said one ayahuasca experience is like 1,000 sessions of counseling. It just, you can step outside of yourself. And that's the thing. I've always seen meditation as an exercise of control. Control your breath, control your thoughts, keep intrusive thoughts from coming in. There's a lot of effort and entropy that is involved in it. Whereas psychedelics is the opposite. Psychedelics, you take it, you go on the ride, and it shows you whatever it needs to show you, and it gives you an opportunity to step outside of yourself and say, whoa, wait a second, hold on, I'm not this body, I am just inside of this body. But you can see from an outside perspective looking in, and it's just, it's so much more revealing, in my opinion. So I think the more journeys you do, and take time to process them, there is something to say about working with them very quickly, in the sense of, we did ayahuasca for 3 weeks straight one time. There is a lot to that, but at the same time, you've got to also process the experiences. And what you'll notice, and I don't know how many experiences you've had, it sounds like you've had quite a few. I had a lot before I actually started to actually utilize them in the correct way. Well, in the correct way for me, which is, for gnosis and consciousness expansion. Before, I was just taking psychedelics to go to raves and dance and, do stuff like that, which that's fun in and of itself. But my point of this is, after an experience, take time to process it, and then what happens is the experiences will become episodic, and they'll start to build on one another. And then, even experiences I had from 2011, 2012, I'm having whole new revelations about now in 2022. So they will not only reveal something to you at the time, but they'll keep on revealing the more you progress on your journey. And then things that happened earlier will start to make sense later. And it's a wonderful, wonderful journey, man. I'm super stoked to hear how it progresses.
Yeah, man, 100%. I've actually only taken, I use mushrooms, and I've only done them 3 times, and I'm actually going to do them tonight now. But, yeah, you really just strap yourself on that ride, and you don't know what to expect. And I think that's the best thing about psychs versus meditation and stuff, is that meditation, you're still in control. No matter what you could say, you're still, for the most part, I'd say 100% in control. But with psychs, you just, you really surrender, and you just let go. And that's when you're just showing everything. And, yeah, and even like what you're saying, I had my first experience a couple months back, and it's just randomly throughout the day I'll just get a revelation. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, so that's what that really meant. And yeah, I really use psychs just as the consciousness expansion, because all the lights, the cool colors and everything, it doesn't really faze me, because I don't know, life itself fills that void for me. But when I want truth and stuff, I go deep within, and I just pull it out. And
that is awesome, man. Have a wonderful trip tonight. And the most powerful point where I got to is when I started to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and I don't know if you experienced this the first time you did it. Some people do, some people don't, but they have this sense of fear, like, oh my God, what's happening to me? Am I dying? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? And then they try to hold on to the reality rather than letting the plants take them. And I struggled with this for the whole first year of doing DMT. You know, I would be launched into hyperspace and then I'd try to hold on and be like, hold on, no, I don't want to go any deeper. I don't want to go any deeper. And it was, you know, letting go of that fear and coming to the point of, wait, did I just die? Oh, maybe I just died, but that's okay. I don't care. And it was that point when I was like, whoa, all the major revelations started just hitting me, when you can let go of that fear and just say, it doesn't matter how deep I go. I you know, and then you get that deep and then you go, there's nothing to be afraid of over here. Why was I so apprehensive of letting go so much? So that's what I would say is, and I know it takes time, but completely let go and let the plants show you what they need to show you.
Yeah, 100%. Like the first two experiences I had, like the first one, I remember I took about 3.5 grams of mushrooms and I was still like in between states. And I remember, yeah, like at one point I just kept fighting and I'm like, I want out, but I don't want out. And you know, the thought loops, it just sucks you when you can't do much. And the second time I really messed up on my setting and it was just kind of a bad trip overall. Like it just wasn't, like I did it after, like I was probably up for 24 hours at the time, just at work. It was like a Friday night and I just worked for like 10 hours a day before and like it was just a mess. But then the third time, yeah, I made the intention, like just shut up and listen. And what helped me really is just, yeah, I did a little meditation before it cleared my mind, but also, you know, I heard a lot of people say that if you ever feel, like you need to like recoup yourself, just keep breathing in the experience. But I found the second I just stopped breathing and just silence everything. But I remember, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to be leaving my body and stuff, like, I don't got to control the body. It's just going to control itself. So that, once I did that, that's when I had the most revealing experience. And that's when I had the experience when I messaged you on the Patreon. I'm like, I was in hyperspace and then I sunk into my darkness and I popped out of like a computer, like a motherboard thing. And I was on like a bed and I was being stitched out. And, like, when I first came out of it, I guess you could say the Matrix, I was being unstitched and I was sealed in the portal, but then as the experience like started ending, I became stitched back into it and I came back in here and yeah.
Oh man, that's powerful. And I remember this one time. There was many years actually where I wouldn't go into hyperspace until I've purged, because ayahuasca, there's always a purge, and it got to the point to where I stopped purging because I had no more negativity to purge up, I wouldn't go. I would keep myself grounded until I purged because I was always afraid I was gonna fall off into hyperspace and then wind up throwing up, not be conscious of it, and wound up choking on my own vomit. And I remember laying on the couch one time, and I remember closing my nose, and then my mouth automatically opened, and then I closed my mouth, and then my nose automatically started breathing. And the ayahuasca was telling me, look, it's okay. Your body will take care of itself. Go as deep as you need to. Your body will take care of it itself. And I relinquished control and just let go. And I realized the body does take care of itself. I mean, I've been in the middle of just straight up hyperspace. I mean, completely gone, no sense of who I am, no sense of having a body, anything like that. And somehow I managed to get up, get to the bucket and vomit, just like, it comes on just all of a sudden. And I've never once missed the bucket in the 13 years I've been working with ayahuasca, no matter how deep in hyperspace I am. So I think that just goes to show the body takes care of itself. The body goes on autopilot, and it's even conscious to a certain point, even when you're way off in those states. So there's nothing to worry about. I mean, of course, if your body's going to start running out in the middle of the street, yeah, obviously, you want to make sure that you are in control of your body as far as that goes. But if you're in a sacred space, chilling and all of that, the body will take care of itself. The body's a machine that functions by itself, even without the consciousness. I mean, because when you think about it, you don't think about breathing. You don't think about any of that, in day-to-day life. It's just something the body does. So in the ayahuasca state or the mushroom state as well, the body is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to continue to function just as normal, even if the consciousness is way out in hyperspace. So it's really cool to hear that you overcame that on your third experience. It took me quite some time. So much love, brother.
Yeah, because after all, like, our bodies are all just NPC bodies, and like for me at least, once I really understood my raw consciousness and the fact that I'm just like the awareness borrowing the body, and I'm using the body as a way to as a means to view the matrix and stuff. That's when it's just if my raw consciousness wasn't in this body, it would still be functioning as an NPC body. So just understanding that just makes it that much easier to step out of myself. And even just in day-to-day life, like if I'm at work, I'm just working like a repetitive 9-to-5 job, I can just step out of myself and let my body do the work. And it's not drowning me energetically, simply because I could just step out of my body. That's
wonderful. I also feel the same way. I got to do psychedelics every couple months, otherwise I take life way too seriously. And then I come back and I'm like, what the hell? Why was I taking this so seriously? Why was I an asshole about this? Why did I treat this person like that? Why did I react like this? This is all just an illusion. That's all it is. So, all right, we're going to get to some other calls, brother. Pleasant journey tonight. Let us know how it goes.
Yes,
I can see Cherie starting to fade, so we're going to wrap it up here in just a few moments. But much love, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Have a great night.
You too.
Good night. Thank you.
It's awesome, man.
That's so cool.
Awesome. We have people who take mushrooms and then listen to us.
Yeah, that's so neat.
We have people that call us before they're about to take mushrooms.
Before they journey, and that's
incredible.
That makes us feel like we're a part of that intimate experience, and it makes me feel so good knowing that people consider us sacred enough to be part of it. So I appreciate that. Yeah. I really do.
I agree. We have 3 more calls, and then we're going to cut it off there. So let's go to area code 928. What's your name and what's on your mind?
How you doing tonight? It's James.
Hi, James. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Just listening to you guys. It's lifting me up. I'm like vibrating right now, so I appreciate what you're doing tonight.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. We are too, man. Yeah. We are too. And it's all the energy from the BTV tribe and people like yourself, James. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just calling in about, I know you're interested in simulation theory and thereabouts, those type of topics. And the gentleman that just called in a couple of calls ago and was talking about how he had essentially manifested the actor to show up in his life, so he ends up on this set and he ends up on the film, and how he pictured that in his mind, for days or weeks or months, however long he had been thinking about that, and he ended up manifesting it. And so I don't know, have you ever studied the works of Neville Goddard, either of you?
I haven't, but I'm familiar with the name. But tell me about it, please.
He was a teacher back in the early, New Thought movement. So his first teachings were in the late 30s. He taught up till he died in 73 or so. And what I have related to his work and other works along the New Thought movement, you can go back and study, from Blavatsky or Florence Scovel Shinn, many others in that day, and, the Carnegies and such, Think and Grow Rich, these type of teachings. But Neville taught this way of moving what he called from state to state. And you would focus, like in a law of attraction kind of a way, you would focus your ideal in your mind in the imagination, which he called God, essentially, that was technically like God. And you would put in your order, and then it would be made for you. And so I've related it to simulation theory, the way he taught this, because they didn't have these terms back in those days. They didn't have simulation theory and quantum this and that and the other. So it was kind of limited on his words, plus the people he's teaching to are not going to be able to handle that anyway. And he would have thousands show up at his lectures. But in this modern day, we're talking simulation theory, and essentially what this gentleman, a couple of callers did, is he moved. My concept of it is he didn't change what timeline he was on. He essentially saw in his mind what he wanted, and then it moved him to a dimension or a timeline of his desired imaginal act of what he desired, and boom, it just moves him over. So it seems like there's an unlimited somehow ness to the simulation. We're not just in one timeline changing things. Hence, it would explain like things like the Mandela effect and you know, similar type theories, game theories and such, that we are in a simulation of sort, and it's a holographic type of thing potentially, but we're solid in it, and yet we can move timelines, we can change dimensions, we can change the state of our life, our future in a sense, even though in the ever-present now, because they're all happening. So we're doing it now, but it's all happening at once, somehow in this crazy-ass interdimensional situation, and it just seems like I'm like you, brother. I'm like just like searching inside, looking for others that find truths and pieces of the puzzle, and it's just like I think that's what we're doing now. Is we're going through this shift, which I know you and Cherie, you know, helped aid some greater picture with what you did in Egypt, and help manifest these potentially many timelines that maybe each of us on our own are traveling to as interdimensional time travelers of sort, and we're all going to meet in the middle somewhere in different ways, in person, or like tonight meeting you on the phone for the first time, and just keep crisscrossing through interdimensionally, maybe for infinity. We'll keep going, and if we drop the physical body, maybe we'll just pop up in another one, and it just. Go ahead.
I there's a little bit of a delay, and I thought that you were finished speaking. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's actually okay. Very interesting, because I've never really thought about it that way. You know, I understand multiverse. Multiverse is essentially multiple simulations. We did a show called What is the Aten? We laid out how there's multiple simulations. I think what's happening right now is that those simulations are crumbling, and we're getting to the point of singularity, which is then we're going to find an exit gate. However, you bring up a very interesting point, because my working hypothesis has been that within every simulation exists a version of us, but the raw consciousness is only in one simulation at a time. So taking the driver consciousness, the raw consciousness, skipping that into another simulation, it's essentially like, you know, we have an NPC body there, we have NPC bodies here, and it's the consciousness that jumps from one simulation into another. And I've always just considered this as part of a process of the shutting down, but I've never really considered it as a way of jumping into timelines that are more preferable for our own personal paths. So that's really interesting, and that's something that I'm going to have to take into the ayahuasca realm and work on, because I would love to jump into a timeline where things are just a little bit different. I'm still glad to be here in this timeline with each and every one of you, but there could be a few things that could be a little bit better, and I'd like to see a lot of people shifting into that. We did a big mass ritual on December 21st, 2020, and we were just one part of a much larger thing that was happening. And people have written us and said, Chris, you and Cherie and everybody that was doing that saved hundreds of thousands of people by shifting them into this other simulation. And I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around this. You know, did we do that, or was it just one big ayahuasca experience? You know, I really don't know for certain, but I know something majorly shifted. But I never really thought about shifting on our own. I wonder if we can do that, or maybe collectively attempt to do that and shift to the place where we want to go. Interesting ideas, man.
Yeah, well, Neville was teaching this type, basically what I consider simulation theory back 70 years ago, and the odd part, like the coincidences and synchronicities of his teachings for me, like when I first found him, I found it like too Bible-y. Like it was just too much Bible, dude. It's too much Bible. And then I'm like, 5 years later, I find him, I discover him again, and it's just like the previous caller was saying, we just kind of grow, and something might not resonate with us for a while, and then eventually you get a new piece, and you can go back and read books and watch movies from 20 and 30 and 40 years ago or 100 years ago, and you'll see a whole different perspective, on anything pretty much. So the way I have understood it and found it to be working is that we are switching timelines. I had my own events in my own life that I've experienced where I literally switched timelines and was a person that was in my one. Let's hypothetically, I'm in a world. I'm on a timeline, and I know I have a good friend, a reasonably good friend, knew him well. And then, like, the next time I see him, which was like a few weeks later, he's a totally different person from one aspect that's so different that he literally starts a physical fight. Like, he wants to fight. It was, without going through the details of it, it was just so extreme. So it sent me on this mission. Like, I've got to figure out this simulation situation because it's just too much that there's no way that this is the same person. And I don't know if you've had experiences like that, but even like, going on an eye journey, you come back from that journey. Did you really end up where you left? I mean, did we really end up where when I came in the room 10 hours ago, am I in the same room even, technically? Because on a quantum level, if there were unnumbered realities, per se, everything could look just about the same, but little nuances. If we're not sharp and looking for them, there could be a lot of different things in the same room, and you wouldn't even notice if you weren't really looking for them, and especially if you were in some kind of ceremony or something, you might not be looking for stuff like that anyway. But you also might be able to pick up on things because you're more tapped in if you were looking. Like, you might be like, oh, that vase wasn't in the room when I left. So, like, many things could be different, I guess is what I'm postulating, but it's still, we're in this, like, the energies right now. I spent 10 years in Sedona. We just moved out in the middle of all this craziness. We were forced out of Sedona after a decade, and the energies there just got wild. And so now I'm in the Smoky Mountains, man, in the middle of this storm right now, and the energies are just wild. Well, with what else going on in the whole reality, what I feel like is many realities, even at this point, like all the stuff going on in the world, I'm not experiencing it, man. It's quiet here in the woods. You live in the city. So, I mean, I've been to Vegas many times, so I know you can't really go out much there and it'd be quiet. but you still see, you're sensitive, you and Cherie, you sense the energy. So you know things when things are different, when you go out and about. And we're going through this, like, furnace right now of just, like, everything, all this shit's got to come up in everybody in all of consciousness in this reality for us to maybe make, like what you were saying, postulating, like, a unity consciousness where we all come into the same consciousness, and maybe all the NPCs just disappear. I don't know, but more and more I feel like we still may be each experiencing our own reality, and we can make of it what we wish.
It's beautifully said, man. That's inspiring too.
It really is.
What I've noticed is that a lot of the stuff we talk about has been talked about for centuries. But you're right, they didn't have the language back then to be able to describe it. And if this matrix is around in 100 years from now, they're going to be describing everything that we've been describing, except they're going to have much better words to use to describe the nature of reality. And it's wonderful to see. I'm going to try that timeline jumping. I always feel that we jump timelines in our sleep. And that's the state where if we go to sleep, we wake up in another timeline when we jump. And that's why sometimes you can't find your wallet, or you can't find your phone, or, little things have changed because you've actually woken up in a different reality. So, I swear to God, I put my phone right here, and now I can't find it anywhere. Yeah. Mandela effect. Yeah. Perfect.
That's what it explains. The Mandela effect for me is that the person isn't seeing it differently. They change dimensions, and it's a different thing. So it just, that's how I see it, as I change. Like, if I see a Mandela, I feel like I changed, not it, not the Campbell soup label or whatever. I changed, and it explains it to me easier. Like, it makes more sense that it's working like that for me. I don't know how others would see it that way, or if they would.
Interesting. One final thing, and then we got to let you go. About invasion of the body snatchers. I've experienced that many times myself. On December 21st, 2020, when we did that ritual, we came back. There was a group of people who just completely flipped and turned into the complete opposite of who they were before. And we actually had somebody on our show talking about this back in 2019. Her name is Asit, and she was talking about how she actually witnessed this happening at a rap concert. And in 2019, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. You know, I couldn't really wrap my head around it. But she says she was watching people's consciousness get switched out. And then we have the whole Astroworld situation with the Travis Scott thing. And that's when people are saying, hey, they were really opening up portals. People were being hijacked by demons. I mean, these are like 20-year-old kids on TikTok, you know, talking about this. So it's happening on so many different levels, man. But we're going to find that right timeline. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I was listening to that one when you were talking to Offset back then. And,
okay. So you heard it for yourself. Okay.
Oh yeah, I've been listening to you guys for years, and like a long time. And you know, I mean, it's funny because I found, you know, how I found you. I actually found you maybe first, you and Cherie, and it's how I found Seven Bomar. That's how I found Seven, which I know you haven't done any talk with him in a while, but Seven's off the chain right now. But you know, I've been following Seven because I'll never forget it because you were interviewing Santos Bonacci and Seven on the same show, and I'm like, holy shit, I've never heard of the Seven, but I've been wanting to hear Santos. And Seven goes on for like 30, 40 minutes, and you're like, hey, let's see what Santos has to say about that. And Santos just says, no, man, let's let him keep going.
Yeah.
It's like he wanted to hear it.
You know, it's a shame in this arena. We used to, you know, we were open to everybody before, and then all of a sudden Santos went on this whole flat Earth thing, and I have Mark Sargent on TFR. We've had him on the show before. You know, we've had Jaron on the show. We've done many flat Earth shows. And then Santos just started attacking us out of nowhere, and then he apologized afterwards. So I took his apology very gracefully and genuinely. But something happened to Santos, and it was a shame. And then with Seven, I don't know what happened to Seven, but you know, we started pushing for the Trump timeline, and then he actually blocked me on Facebook. Never had any bad words with him. Never had anything like that. He went down that whole BLM thing, and I guess anybody who was, you know, for Trump was, you know, on the other side, and you know, there was a bunch of division that happened as a result. And like I said, we never had any bad words with either of them. So I need to reach out to Seven. You know, it'd be good to reconnect with him, man. I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah. Seven. You know, I followed his work since that night. I mean, every video he's put out, every talk, everything. I mean, I've been on it, and so it's just. Everybody's going through their stuff right now is how I look at it, like the last few years. This isn't like this week. This has been going on since 2012. You know, my beloved twin flame, you know, I met her in Sedona. We came together literally 6 months to the day before you and Cherie came together on the summer solstice in Sedona. That's when we were merged.
Beautiful.
So you know, we've been going through this. I moved to Sedona because of 2012. I mean, I left everything, successful business, the whole shit behind, man. I'm like, this world is gone, dude. And you know, it's just been a clown world ever since, it seems like. And you know, I'm on this mission to just download all of this, and at some point I'll be able to speak myself like I am tonight. And I appreciate you guys spending the time. You know, I just have one more question for you though. I was wondering, I looked on your website and I couldn't find a direct number to call or an email to send for advertising on TFR. I'd like to do some advertising potentially. So I don't know, can you give me an email or
for sure.
Phone number?
Send it to pd@tfrlive.com, and PD is like program director.
Yeah, hold on, my hands are like a little chilled out here, man. It's like 32 degrees out here. I'm talking to you. But, okay, PD,
like program director, at tfrlive.com.
Perfect.
So it should be super easy to remember.
I can send an email to that.
Yeah. I'll keep an eye out for it.
Perfect.
So,
all right.
Cool,
Thank
brother.
You so much.
What is it? Tell us what you wanted to advertise. I mean, go ahead and let the audience know what you're up to, man. We love to share the platform.
My wife, she's a writer, and she was writing her first novel in 2011 or 2012 when we met, and we literally finished it in Sedona. She finished it in Sedona, and she's been writing ever since. And the first book's called From Beyond Sedona. So it's a series of books she's written. She's written 70 books since 2012.
70?
And so 10 years right now. 70, yeah. She's written 70 books.
Wow.
We have them on Amazon, and she writes paranormal fantasy and brings the light in. So a lot of the stuff that's out there has got a lot of dark, like you were talking about earlier. It's just like they'll show bloody gutty murder everything on TV or in a lot of this media, but they won't show like a tit,
Right.
as you were saying earlier. But she writes, kind of from the light perspective. It's a lot of dark versus light stuff, and there's pyramids and interdimensional travel and everything about what we're talking about. Simulation theory, game theory, like fantasy, other worlds and places that we can go in our minds. And she goes there every day and writes books like crazy. So I'd love to check in and see if that's something we can market on your station, because you guys, tap into an audience who's an amazing group of awakened people that are, not everybody can get into stuff. It's a different vibration.
Well, we'd love to help out, man. I don't even worry about any of that. Just send me her information. Actually, I'm going to give you a better email, because it sounds like she'd make a great guest for the show. So let's get her on our show. Let's get her on with Paranormal Portal, Brent Thomas. I think that would be a good place to. And in my humble opinion, the best advertising is interviews, because people actually get to talk to the author and actually get to hear from the author. The ad spots, they work great for products and stuff like that, but people probably want to hear from her. And so we'd love to chat with her, and especially if she's written 70 books. I mean, first I want to check out all the books first. I mean, not all of them, but I just want to kind of get an idea of what it's all about. But here's a better email: tfrproducer at gmail.com, and that's for booking and stuff like that. So yeah, send us some of her info, and we'll see about getting her on either our show or on with Brent Thomas, or somebody like that.
I think Brent would be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in, you guys do your Eye of Life, and we don't have any that we sell, but she's done the whole classes for essential oils, and so she's into like a lot of natural stuff as well. So yeah, I think it would work out perfectly. But I really, am excited about this shift, man. And thank you guys for what you've done in the midst of it. We're over here in the mountains. You're holding down Vegas. And the rest of the brothers and sisters on the line are holding down other points on the ley lines, and we're all working on this together in our own individual ways, some quiet, some loud, but we're all in this together, and that's the one point. We are in this together no matter how we look at it, so we might as well shoot for that beautiful timeline, where we can all have a big-ass party.
I agree, man. We love you, brother. Thank you, and looking forward to checking out your wife's work.
Oh, yeah, it's at LuciaAshta.com if anybody wants to check out some beautiful, beautiful, heartfelt fantasy.
Give me the website one more time.
LuciaAshta.com, or on Amazon. Lucia Ashta.
Lucia.
ASHTA.
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 Yeah, so I'll send you an email with her information.
Okay,
Lucia
we'll be on.
Ashta. Okay, I think I have her. No, this is just send me the info, because
send us the info, because we want to make sure we get it right.
Cool. Love you, brother. Take care. Oh man,
that was cool.
You guys and gals are on fire tonight. I said, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. It's a fire. So all right,
so beautiful.
Yeah, a few more calls, and then I can tell you're.
Yeah, I can go ahead and take off, and you can continue if you want, because
no.
I know you're on fire.
We've been on air for a while, and I got to figure out what we're going to do with the show afterwards, because that first segment with Clyde had a lot of non-YouTube friendly stuff.
Okay.
And so I think the second half of the show is good, but I think we're gonna have to make that Clyde interview Patreon exclusive. I hate to do that, but the content was so sensitive And yeah, it's a shame, but patreon.com/BTV tribe is where you can check that out. We got all our full shows there. So let's go to Florida. What's your name? What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hey, how you doing? Oh man, I am so happy to reach you all directly, and I know it's so late, and I can see Cherie fading, so I want to make this quick and really just begin by thanking you guys. God, from the depths of my heart, I only found you guys about a little over a year ago, and I feel like I've just been playing catch up with so much. I'm actually I'm the owner of Shadowcat. I don't know if you guys remember. I took a picture of Shadowcat with the Iolite.
I remember Shadowcat. Of course I do.
I remember Shadowcat.
Yes.
Yeah, Shadowcat's still kicking, man.
Oh, really?
He's about to be 18, man.
That's incredible.
He's a big fan. He's a big fan.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Incredible.
I know when you sent us that picture, he was having some health issues, and being an older cat like that, and it's so wonderful to hear that he's still bouncing around, man. Oh my God, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I got to tell you, I mean, so what a great show. I don't even know I could take this like in a dozen different directions, and each caller has like said something that's like given me chills. It's just been such a every show's like this. I listened to the the lady from Australia. That was fantastic show. Like that. You guys are just the best. I just dig. I'm just so happy to be part of the tribe, and I kind of feel like I'm still really catching up a lot, like with so many aspects of just the perspective. Like I hadn't watched any media in over a decade when this pandemic hit. So I mean, like, I didn't know hardly anything about the depths of the dark, if you will, and I definitely was behind on sort of the analysis of the Matrix and the technology references. Me and technology, we don't get along all that well, so I oftentimes struggle with just wrapping my head around, but your narrative and the way you all see it and the perspective just the gnosis feels like truth.
Thank you.
And the discernment, you guys have given me such discernment, because, when all this shit hit, I mean, it was like, oh shit, I guess it's time to tap back into the world and see I knew instantly this was, well beyond what appeared on the surface. So I just started being drawn to a lot of YouTube people, and here I am now a year and a half later, and I barely listen to anybody because so many of them are just full of shit. But you guys are, oh my God. I love you guys. I love the tribe. I love everything, your genuity and your authenticity, and the way you do. When I ordered the Iolife and I got that crystal, I swear to God, I could feel Cherie's energy. I mean, you guys are just, you're a rarity out there in this world of it. And it's so easy to see, I feel, but as we know, clearly it's not as easy to see truth, because we've got just mass insanity around us, and you guys are just providing such a beacon of light. And the last caller, holy crap, did I resonate with so much of what that guy was saying. Like the number, the timeline crossing, and the number of times, you wouldn't believe, I listened to 2 different hosts on TFR, and when I found out you guys were the program directors, I about shit myself, because I'm like, I had been listening. I mean, it was ridiculous, because I had been listening to one couple for a long time, and then I had a horrendous experience with them, where their real colors were revealed, and I burned their book.
I know who you're talking about.
I think I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Holy shit, man, I just couldn't. And then another one of your hosts is the one that gave me the validation for my read on that situation. Cracking the reality code, Johanna Sand.
She went down there anyway, and she experienced everything firsthand.
Yeah,
and I was actually talking about it on a recent show. I don't like to name names, but you know exactly. As soon as
I heard it.
They came to the station through somebody else, and I was doing somebody else a favor and just said, sure, they can do a show. But the minute I heard them, I should have just my intuition was like, no, these people are fake. There's something wrong. But I try not to be judgmental as a program director. I try to just say, hey, you know what, people do their shows however they do their shows, but I could just feel the energy was wrong. Then they came back and they told me that whole place was like a freaking concentration camp cult. And I was like, oh my God.
You guys, do you guys want to hear? Oh no, you know what? It's fading fast, but it is kind of crazy because divine spirit, creation, whatever you want to call it, 100% stepped in the most ridiculous way to prevent me from going down there. I had a trip booked to go down there, and I hadn't gone internationally in over 10 years. And I had done everything. I hadn't taken a real vacation in 7 years. And I could feel like the anxiety building. And I knew I had more of an issue with the wife than, like, I could feel it. But I still was just like, I wanted to go to the mountains and just the experience. And I hadn't been out of the country. Well, I had 5 months left on my passport. I literally went to the airport to check into my flight an hour and a half before my flight. And they're like, you can't go. I'm like, what do you mean I can't go? They said, this is one of the countries that you have to have 6 months left on your passport. And I had checked with their people multiple times. Like, how would I know to even ask that question? Right. I'm not a seasoned international traveler. Yeah. We're coming to your country. You should be. And then they just took all of the money. And I was like, that was my first real wake up to, because I found them right after my awakening. So I kind of didn't have any discernment, and I tend to be kind of loyal. But even though when red flags started coming up, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to believe that I'm, I have the hardest time. My naivety really took a lot to break open. And boy, this past year and a half, I've just had one after another. And you guys provide the ultimate discernment of what is fucking real and the real deal.
Thank you.
And the balance.
Let me jump in.
And the confidence.
Let me jump in real quick. First of all, as soon as we've got the speakers on, as soon as your voice came on, both of our cats came in the room.
Yeah.
So I think you attracted their frequency.
You attracted them.
Either that or they know Shadow Cat and they're like, oh, Shadow Cat. We're Shadow Cat.
Yeah.
So they both came
out. Shadow Cat's a black cat too.
I know. I know. He looks a lot like Sekhmet.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, so second of all, I want to apologize for bringing them on because I didn't realize that it was affecting so many people.
No.
And I feel responsible to a certain degree because I should be more discerning with who we bring on TFR, and we are more discerning moving forward. Tomorrow, actually tonight. Yeah, what's today? Saturday or Friday?
Today's Saturday.
Today's Saturday. Okay, earlier today, Nikki Colombo did a show where she talked to somebody that was also in a similar situation where she actually escaped from this kind of cult type of situation. It wasn't the same one, but Nikki has been completely gung-ho against all of this bullshit that's been happening. I talked to her off air and she's like, I'm sick and tired of these fucking people taking advantage of these women, taking their money, doing this, doing that, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, she's pissed. She's pissed. But to hear it so close to
I wonder. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, guys, seriously, I swear to you, I never even once would have thought, I didn't, I really appreciate that you extend that apology, but you know what? This is one of those, I don't want to say it's a backwards way of learning. It's more of, I like it to call it the undesirable past, right? Where we have so much learning when something, I don't like to call something a failure or a mistake. It's just when something undesirable happens. And if you're open to that experience and you don't fight it when something that you wish wasn't happening happens, there's so much growth. So the growth that came from that, despite it being, at the time, not the best thing to go through, I could put a value on that. So, oh my God, I think it's great all around to have the experience on your guys' end too, because I think being open to all voices, that's fantastic that you've done as hard as, you guys have worked as hard as you have to allow that. I don't think you find that hardly at all in a production, whether it's mainstream radio or online radio or anything. So I applaud you guys for keeping such an open mind to have hosts who sometimes speak of things that are the exact opposite of your beliefs. I think that speaks to your character. It's just amazing. So, man, no apologies there. No apologies there.
Thank you. I still feel responsible for everything that happens on TFR. And as soon as I heard what was going on, the extent of it, I was like, okay, these aren't just bullshit artists. These are people who are very dangerous. And I kicked them off immediately. But I'm so glad that you were able to avoid that situation. And I'm glad that you got in touch with Joanna, who kind of explained everything about what was going on. I didn't believe it at first. I was like, no, you got to be shitting me. And then I heard it from 3 different people. And I was like, okay, this is serious. So, I'm so glad to hear you're okay.
Oh,
though.
man.
I'm so glad to hear that the universe jumped in.
I'm honored. Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I just, I don't know. I'm so grateful to you guys. The work you're doing is amazing. I haven't stopped listening to Emily Moyer since you did the thing that happened in Houston. I listened to Emily with you all on that show. She's fantastic. And I find that when I listen to yours, you guys are really some of the only, I think that you guys are the only ones I watch now regularly. And I love triangulating, and feeling the frequency and triangulating the energy, because I think the last caller, I don't know if his name was James, I think he was onto something as he talked about, and I do think, Chris, that when you were saying, I think we can come together in a collective energy and bust out of the matrix onto a more preferable timeline. I swear to God, that resonates really deeply with me. And I swear I can feel it. I won't be able to explain it succinctly tonight, so I won't try to, but I swear I feel it happening. And I love that with Emily's frequency and you guys and the different angles at which you come at it, but it's the feeling, it's the feeling in our hearts, right? I mean, that's the ultimate guide. And it just, I don't know, I just think challenging times for sure ahead, but also magical times, the more open we can be and remain limitless with how we think we can navigate this all together. So it's powerful times to be alive, that's for sure.
Thank you so much for that burst of positive energy. I mean, that was just phenomenal. And Emily is a good friend of mine. I've known her for years and years and years, and she's the real deal. I don't say that very, very lightly, but from what I can tell, she's the real deal. And, the number one thing that I look for in people is when they can say, oh, I was wrong about this. Because there's a lot of people that just simply can't. Right. And it's an ego thing. And that's like the big thing about radio hosts. They tell you when you're a radio host, never admit that you're wrong. But it's like, well, wait a minute. This isn't radio. This is us talking to our tribe. And I think people just need to be real like that. And you find those real people out there. Thank you so much for the loving energy and for sharing that story with me too, because I didn't realize how deep these decisions that I can make, just off the cuff like that without thinking, without putting thought into it, can actually affect people. Yeah. And you've really helped to shine that light, to be more discerning about who we bring on TFR.
Yeah, you have.
Thank you.
Oh, no worries. And, just one final thing too, that I really feel is along that same line, just so important to give you guys kudos on, is the way you do business. Because I think that's one of the trickiest aspects right now of dancing between the dimensions, which is what I feel like I'm constantly doing, is dancing between dimensions, with my spiritual side that just wants to be, I just want to get out of this mainstream paradigm that's collapsing. And, I've been trying to get my own thing off the ground I thought it was going to happen in a year, and I'm 9 years into it. So I'm really been in both dimensions and still having to navigate the regular 3D and trying to start something that's quote unquote my own business with not with the traditional rules of business. And you guys live that. I mean, you live it, and I've heard it over the past year plus. I've been listening to you. I listen when you guys take your super chats and who you give that to. And the story, Chris, of the lady, I think you were getting your nails done, who was selling like baskets, I think for Valentine's Day or something. And you bought like 10 of them. And the somebody you were listening to's child was sick and you gave him a bunch of Life. And And I know you're always, I feel your hesitancy when you share these things, but I do think that's important too, just to help to give others like myself that discernment, because there are charlatans and grifters all over right now. And you guys help, like I said, in my opinion, and now in my experience of having been affected in 2 different times by money, losing money to people, and learning the hard way. You guys, you just have given that discerning factor of, yes, you can still do business and be enlightened and spiritual, but you have the best balance. And it's so important, I think, as an example to set for any of us out there trying to do business, and also to not experience some of these other charlatans. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying
you're
that.
bringing tears to my eyes. Like, I can feel your energy, and it's just so real, so raw,
so genuine. Thank
so
you.
genuine, and it there's a lot of weight that we carry, and then hearing people like yourself, it makes all that weight worth it. And so thank you so much. Your call has made my year. Thank you so much for the acknowledgement and for the love.
I just got chills.
And you know, I don't talk about those kind of things because I don't want to take the energy away from them. Because they're not done for, you know, you see those church people and they're like, well, we just donated $50,000 to these people. We just donated this and that, et cetera. And it's one thing from the Bible that I took. It's like, you know, do your good deeds in private and let the rewards come, you know, in the background. But you're right. I mean, leading by example, you've got to share stories like that. So that's just one of many, but
exactly.
I want to see more and more people doing that and be selfless and loving. And that's what it's all about. That's why these new age bullshit artists, they piss me off so much, because I said at the very beginning of this journey, I said, the one thing that pisses me off the most is people who fuck with people's spirituality. And I was referring more to the Christian charlatans and all of that who are taking everybody's money. Then we stepped into the new age, and I realized that's all happening in the new age too. And I think if there is a place in hell, if there is a hell, hell is reserved for people that fuck with people spiritually, and then taking advantage of people,
100%.
taking people's money, you know, all this 100%. And that. Money is energy. And when somebody gives you some of their energy, you have to give them the equal amount of energy back. Otherwise, it's vampirism. And I see a lot of vampires out there on energy levels and financial levels and all of that. And it infuriates me. But I'm so glad that we're helping people see past that. Thank you for the confirmation. Thank you very much.
100%, 100%. And one last thing, I also was the one that was juggling. I don't know if you remember to one of your Dimitri Darko.
Oh yes, I remember
one of your
that.
Dimitri Darko.
Yeah.
And you said you were about to meet with a producer because you were trying to get to EDF, and like I sent you the link, and you're like, "Oh, this is just a sign from the universe that I should keep doing my DJ." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, man, it's awesome."
That's okay, cool. I remember seeing that video, and I was like, "Oh my god, somebody's dancing to my DJ set." They put it on YouTube. That's freaking awesome. Oh, I loved it. It was just, and then somebody in the chat earlier had mentioned that they were actually spinning psytrance at an event in the UK yesterday, and they brought up Beyond the Veil with some people, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I listen to Beyond the Veil too." So he was a DJ, a psytrance DJ at an event, and then he was able to connect with more BTV tribe out there. This thing is a lot bigger than I think than it appears to be. It is.
Hell yeah, man!
Thank you so much for the awesome call.
Thank you guys.
Okay, give Shadow Cat a big
doing what you're
hug
doing.
and kiss from us, please.
Okay, we'll do. Much love to all of you.
Love you. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh my God. Wow. I need to thank you, Mellow Ash. There have been a lot of super chats coming in, and I need to process this energy here. This is that was intense, man. Wow. Are you feeling it too, Sherry?
Yeah, that was an amazing caller for sure. She's very sweet.
I'm feeling it just right here, like just whew. And Bestet and Sekhmet both
That's
Bastet jumped
great.
in my lap, and I'm thinking about that whole situation about those two. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and two of our other TFR hosts went down there and came back and said the same thing, and then another one went down there and came back and said the same thing, and I was like, okay, that's it. They got to go. I can't. I'm sorry. We don't do cults here. And
Yeah, that was a bad situation.
there's been people that do Facebook cults and stuff like that. And our next caller, Nick Bravo, as a matter of fact, this is how him and I connected. There was a group of people on Facebook, and they had a little Facebook group, and this guy seemed like he was trying to start a cult. And I was like, dude, this isn't a cult kind of thing here. And they actually banned Nick. I hope Nick doesn't mind me sharing this story, but they banned Nick because they went to his personal Facebook page, saw some stuff that he was posting on his personal Facebook page, and then banned him based on the stuff that they saw him posting on his personal Facebook page. And I thought to myself, it's one thing to say our group is a certain way and we only want certain content in our group. It's another thing to go to people's personal Facebook pages and then ban them from your group based on what they do in their own personal lives and stuff like that. And I'm like, that is way, way, way overreaching. Now, we're just talking in the digital age here, the digital realm, Facebook. But these people that we were talking about have taken this to a whole new level and get into people's lives, get into people's bank accounts, get into all of that. And then they lure people down there for these conferences, and then it turns into basically sex slavery and stuff like that. And some people are down there willingly. And the thing is, a lot of the people that they target are people who have the means to get there, but don't have the means to come back. And that's where the problem comes in, is they don't have a way to get out of that situation. And it's infuriating. It really is. That's why we're a tribe. That's another reason why we've never done any events. People are saying, I want to see a big Beyond the Veil event with Dimitri Darko spinning, and we should do that. But it should be a weekend event where people have plane tickets to go home.
Yeah, it can't turn into
it's not a 1 way
3-year
deal
long thing where no one ever goes home.
All right, so let's go to our dear friend Nick Bravo. Nick, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
Yeah, it could be better. It's like 7 degrees here, so I'm going to have to eventually see if I can move to Florida. One-way ticket back or not, I don't give a fuck at this point.
Dude, I totally feel you, man. That's one
cold.
thing about Las Vegas is everywhere got snow except for here. And I told the universe, I said, if I see snow again, I'm going to go off on a PTSD rage and all that. And we everywhere got snow except for Las Vegas. Yeah. But after living in Washington, dude, oh my God. I don't know if you saw the new Dexter, but the new Dexter takes place up in northern New York. And he's the first scene, he's walking through the snow, and then he's digging off all the snow from the car and everything. And I'm like, I'm getting triggered. I'm getting triggered.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't like watching like serial killer stuff. I'm fine with like movie monsters, but they're not human, so I would have no qualms about killing them. But, I don't know what that probably says I'm too compassionate, but or something. But anyway.
Well, real quick, if I can chime in on that. The interesting thing about Dexter, I don't know if you heard us, talking about it or not. The thing is, Dexter, he had a code, and he only killed people that deserved it. Somebody who had murdered somebody, and gotten away with it. And so it was weird because Cherie and I were going back and forth and kind of like going, how can we be so connected to a character that goes out and murders people? How can we be cheering for Dexter to kill somebody? I remember watching the whole, the series and going, Dexter didn't make a kill this week. That sucks, And it's like, how does that get twisted in our minds?
Oh, because he still has a sense of justice. Although it's very twisted, it's still a sense of justice, and that's the thing of it. It's like what I find with conscious people is we have a sense of justice, we have a sense of ethics, and we want the best for people. But at the same time, it's like we're living in kind of a nightmare universe where a lot of the nonsense, a lot of the the critical race theory and all that other nonsense. It's just people are, and I don't know if it's affecting other people, but it's like, I don't know, for some reason, I know for me, it just seems like the past couple of weeks, people have gotten a lot greedier. Businesses are getting greedier. People are getting greedier. They're very, and I mean, Nebraska was always this way. Nebraska is very much a pull yourself up by the bootstrap, telling other people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but they themselves, they want all the charity they can get. So it's very twisted. It's another reason why I want to get out of here. But it's just like, with all the CRT stuff, there's a I deleted my TikTok. I needed a break from that because basically I was trying to reply to people, and the sad thing of it is a lot of these supposed spiritual people, a lot of these namaste types, they're basically buying into the CRT stuff. And I responded to this one namaste type, and she tagged me in a response video. Her first words were, she didn't even speak to me directly. It was, she goes, "A white man," and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And I mean, it was just like, okay, well, she's telling me basically "fuck you," but she doesn't even have the balls to say "fuck you." It's like, it's just pathetic.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear
You're
that.
still there?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about this. A white man.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if it was the other way around and it was like a black man? This pisses me off. I'm not even white. I'm like, Native American and Italian and all, and it pisses me off that they can do this, It's like, you're not supposed to identify people by their skin color, or you're supposed to identify everybody by their skin color, but you can't have one way and, you can't have two ways about it, because if you have two ways about it, then that's just the opposite of what was happening before, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it is there, you see society as a whole. It's like, I mean, the CRT stuff is a distraction from the economic oppression, which there actually is. And that's the thing of it is like, what they're trying to do, what the upper class elites are trying to do, is they're trying to get everybody to basically, I can't remember, it's not the, I can't remember the group that it is. I want to say Faustian or something, but anyway, it's this idea of a war of all against all, of where people are just at each other's throats constantly.
It's the Latin word for it. I didn't mean to interrupt, but the Latin word for it is bellum. Bellum, the war of all against all. Bellum, BLM.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, go ahead, please.
Yep. And the thing of it is like, it's frustrating because it's, they're trying to get people to just be hostile and stuff like that. And it's just like I had one conversation with somebody on YouTube in my comments section, and it was one of these types of people who, the types of people who think that they're going to do really well in an apocalypse, but at the same time, it's like, well, they're typically the same types of people who are living in, the suburbs, or they've got, their little farm or whatever, and they've got, their life is perfectly fine, but they have such a hostility for the average person, for the other people. And it's just, I don't know, it's very bizarre. I mean, on the bright side, I mean, at least if I'm not on TikTok all day, I can work on more important things like a book or something. But even though the fact that I doubt most people read these days, but anyway, it's so fucked up. I'm just getting so sick of society, and it's like, okay, how do I make it better? And I think a lot of it is, it's like, at this point, it's just about, just expressing one's own spirit. And I guess that's really all we can do is, but at least with that situation. And if people resonate, they resonate. And if they don't, they don't,
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bit distracted there. We got a couple super chats.
Couple super chats. I was just going to remind you.
Thank you to Fool's Gold. And thank you to Allison, too. She sent a super chat after doing that awesome call just now. Oh, you're too much, Allison. You're too much. There's so much love. On that note, Nick, I think you need some love right now, brother, because it sounds like you're in a little bit of a low frequency. You've come to the right place.
Well, I definitely need. Yeah.
You've got a whole tribe here, brother. You've got a whole tribe here.
Yeah.
So let me say this. First of all, when I first met you, I don't know why I said that before I took the call. I mean, I guess it goes, in hand with what we were talking about before. But that was the first thing that kind of drew me to you, is that you were speaking your own mind. You were speaking your own truth. You didn't care about what anybody said. And even though I may not necessarily agree with some of the truths that you have come to, I respect the fact that you speak your truth no matter what. And when I saw this group of people kicking you out and talking shit behind your back to me on as well. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? We're supposed to be open to everybody, and you're supposed to love everybody no matter what. And who gives a fuck what somebody posts on their own personal Facebook page? So from that point, give me a chance to finish this real quick. Yeah. From that point, I was like, there's something to this Nick Bravo guy. I got to check this out. And then I started getting to know you, and I've watched your journey. And your journey has progressed so much that it's been so inspirational, not only to me, but to a lot of people out there, man. I mean, you've gone through the ups and downs and lefts and rights, and you've explored left hand, right hand, middle path, literally everything. I mean, you've come to a point where you have an understanding, a 360-degree perspective understanding. I would say even more than myself, because I haven't really looked too much into the left hand path and stuff like that. So, dude, you are right on point, but at the same time, you're dealing with a lot of negative energies. And because you're dealing with those negative energies, I totally understand. When we were doing that pizza-related film, the Pizza Apocalypse, I was in a dark, dark, dark place in 2016, man. I mean, I was in a really dark place. And then coming out of January 2021, I was in an even darker place. And so I totally understand when you're dealing with those negative energies, they start to get... they start to stick to you. And so I understand where you're at. But the thing is, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to jump in the darkness and face the darkness, man. And you're one of the few that can.
The thing of it is, and the thing of it is, though, is like, one of the admirable qualities about you and Sherry is like, you let people be who they are, and you let them reveal themselves to you, and you don't put preconceptions on them. Whereas if you look at most of society, especially NPCs, especially, these cultists who believe in the all this nonsense, right? It's like they're going to sit there and they're going to be like, well, you look like this, therefore, and then when you subvert their fantasies about you, they get upset. I mean, I've had people get upset at me because they're like, well, wait, you're a man, but you're not, you're doing this, which is not manly. And I'm like, well, that doesn't matter because, I'm not this thing that fits into a category. I'm more than that. And the thing of it is like, people have to, like, for example, like with that one situation on Facebook, it's like, well, they weren't even willing to hear the reasoning. They weren't even willing to hear anything because in their minds, they already knew everything about it. And therefore, they were closed off. Whereas, people here in the tribe, most of us want to sit there and we're like, okay, we have this curiosity about other people. We have this curiosity about this, phenomenon called human existence. And I think that really separates us from most people,
Yeah, I agree.
What life is. We're not just,
I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a delay, so I don't mean to talk over you.
Oh, you're fine. So On the metaphysical, a slightly different subject, on the metaphysics of CERN and the Mandela effect here, and I was thinking about this when I was listening to one of Clyde's shows last week. So check this out, right? Time moves like a spiral. It's not a straight line. So if you draw a spiral and just a bunch of a bunch of circles, right? And then each one of those lines put a different date. So maybe one of those lines is 2001, another one is 1980, another one is 1913, another one is 2020, right? Now, if you take some water and pour it on that paper, what's going to happen? That water is going to spread out. It's going to hit every line. Now, check this out. Particles that CERN is playing with, we know they can be in two places at once, but they can also be in two different the time space at once, right? They can be you can have a particle that it's existing in the 1980 and the 1913 and the 2001 or whatever. It's the same particle. When CERN affects them through frequencies, when it affects those particles, it's not just affecting that particular, like when they set it on, like if they turn it on in 2022 again, it's not going to just affect those particles in 2022. It's going to affect the particles. It's going to affect that particle in every time space that particle is in. And I'm not really sure if I'm being clear. I mean,
I totally understand. Yeah, they smash a particle here with CERN. It smashes the particle in every other multiverse.
Yeah. So basically, and what they're doing is, like, I think a lot of it is the Mandela effect. I'm not sure if that's just if it was two universes colliding or just merging into each other or leaking into each other. But they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again. And I think part of the problem is they're trying to, because I know they have that machine, the chronosphere or something, where they can see the future. What they're trying to do is they're affecting things in the past through particles. And they're sitting there and trying to see what it's going to be like in the future, because they want to create a specific future wherein they're in full control. And sadly enough, I think that they're, I hate to say it, but I honestly think they're going to be somewhat successful, because I just don't think the vast majority of people are smart enough to actually stand up for themselves. I mean, because we see what's happening in Australia. We see what's happening in other countries. I mean, even here in Nebraska, the governor is saying no mask mandates, and you've got people pushing as hard as they can for masks and for all this other nonsense. And it's just, there's so much fear. And the thing of it is, how do we get rid of that fear on a global level? I guess that's really what we're going to have to focus on. I hate to be so negative, but it's just like, I mean, I just don't see any way to mobilize the masses in any meaningful way, because I try to talk to people about inflation, for example, and they'd rather talk about, skin color. So it's like the masses kind of do deserve what's going to happen to them. But it's like, well, how do we keep, the globalists from accomplishing what they're planning on doing and turning everything into just one big, cyberpunk dystopia or whatever they're doing with it?
Well, if I can chime in for a moment. So if I can reference that scene in the end of the first Matrix, maybe it's a third Matrix, where Neo loses his eyesight and all he sees is just code, and that's it. Looking at it from that perspective, with no eyes and just code, energetically what I see happening, and let me know how you resonate with this, is that basically we've come in here, not necessarily Cherie and I, but everybody collectively that is here on this mission, and reset
Yeah.
this thing, shut this thing down. It's being shut down. It's like a computer, right? And you
Yeah.
you go to turn off your computer, and the power button on the computer just is not working, and it just will not shut down, because what's happening is that there's
Yeah.
a virus in the computer. It's looking for energy sources,
Mhm.
and so the more that it can hook
Yeah.
into the programs, the more that it can prevent that computer from shutting down, because it's like you've got Skype hanging, you've got Chrome hanging, you've got all these different programs hanging, and you can't get past that point of those
Yeah.
programs shutting down, and so it's trying to maintain power like that. So our only option, in my opinion, is to get out of the machine before it comes to the point to where it gets locked down completely. Then once we're out of here, then we can actually pull the plug on the entire machine. But what they're trying to prevent is they're
Yeah.
trying to prevent us from being able to get out of here, because they're using us for a power source as well. And so it's a virus in the system that is working to keep this thing running, and not only keep this thing running, but keep it running in a way to where the future, as you said, they're not only in control physically, but they're in control energetically, and they're essentially in control of the exit doors. They're in control of the wheel of reincarnation. They're in control of literally everything for a perpetual state of existence. And what it comes down to for them is existence. They know that once this machine gets shut down, that's it. They're not going to exist anymore. And so really they're fighting for their own
Yeah.
survival, which is, unfortunately at the
Yeah.
expense of all of us. Likewise, we're fighting for our own survival too. And so, it seems
Yeah.
like a tug of war like that.
Well, yeah. hmm Well, and like I've had a couple of dreams lately that that would lead me to wonder if, like, the people outside the matrix, whatever society out there, I don't think they're entirely aware of what's happening in here, because it's like if you have a family member who say wants to go on vacation, like a real vacation, like to the Bahamas or Italy or whatever, you can see their Instagram pictures, or you can get a phone call or a text message, but you're not experiencing what they're experiencing, so you're going to be completely ignorant to a degree of what they're experiencing. So those that are outside the matrix, they're not even fully aware of what's going on. I mean, you can sit there and tell them what it's like to have a hot cup of coffee on a cold day. You can tell it to them, but there's no way they're going to experience that. And so there's that level of, understanding of they may not even be aware of it, which means that we here in the matrix, we have to be, all the more, not just certain of our mission, but, interactive and know what we have to do in order to get the mission to actually be solved. Because, it's just, I don't know, it's frustrating because, I know I'm organic, but it's just like, there's a lot of times, and that's what the Matrix wants. It wants us to doubt ourselves. Because there's a lot of times where I'm just like, I feel like I'm an NPC or something. I know I'm not, but at the same time, it's like, the Matrix is going to do everything it can to wear every one of us down as much as it can. And, you were so lucky to have Shuri, because, there's so many of us that don't have anybody, to a degree. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling a bit. Sorry.
No. I completely understand, man. I completely understand. We have each other. We have our tribe, but that's not as meaningful as having somebody in your physical space. And I completely and totally understand that. Sometimes it feels like that. Shuri deals with a lot of medical stuff. I deal with a lot of stuff too, not medically, but just everything that's going on. A lot of times we're together, but we're not together, because we're each dealing with our own things. So having somebody in your physical space isn't necessarily as not what it looks like.
It's not the end all be all.
It's not the end all be all, because even there is even isolation within that aspect of everything too. So I feel it right there with you. I feel like, I'm alone, but at the same time, I also feel like, well, wait a minute, I have an entire tribe out there, but I'm so disconnected from my tribe. But then I can connect with them, whenever we do shows and do stuff like that. But then when I really think about it, we're all really connected on the spiritual level, no matter what. And there is no distance between us, because we're all connected on a much, much, much deeper level. So all we have to do is just look deeper within ourselves and realize the connections that we have with all of our brothers and sisters out there. And, you're always in my heart, brother. You know that. And,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and one last question, because I know you probably got another callers or whatever, but it's like, how do you maintain that motivation to go forward into the future? And what I mean by that is for example, I have goals that I want to do. I say, well, I maybe want to move to Florida because it's nicer weather. I want to do this or that. But at the same time, it's so easy to get stuck in the present and, by a present situation, and it's how do you get, because, I've always admired that, I've always admired your ability to hustle, because it's you had so many points in your life where you could have just gave up completely. And, as far as just basically, sitting there and not doing anything with your life, but you kept moving forward. And it's I'm kind of wondering, how do you, keep that motivation? How do you see the future so clearly that you just keep working through all the garbage and all the shit to get to where you need to be?
Hookers and blow. No.
Okay.
No. Just a Las Vegas joke. Okay. Seriously, throughout life, what I've done is I've found enjoyment and pride in everything I've done. Even when I was in the carpet cleaning business, as mundane as that would sound, I remember people would make fun of me for doing that, but it was something that I took pride in, because I loved going out there and getting dirty and feeling like I did a great job and I earned the money that I brought home. But I love the feeling of feeling dirty afterwards. I know it sounds weird, but it felt like an accomplished day. I put my heart and soul into doing that. I put my heart and soul into taking care of my customers and doing all that. And then when I realized when I started getting tired of that, I realized that all of that was really an means to an end. And the end was so that I can focus on spirituality and I can focus on consciousness. And I realized I was going out there and busting my ass doing all these carpet cleaning jobs so I can come back and drink ayahuasca on the weekends. And that was the goal. So I'm doing this in order to be able to do this. So I can have a space to do the ayahuasca, so I can have this, so I can have that. I have to do this as well. And then from that point, the ayahuasca then opened up new doors, and then it was just the love of whatever it is that you're doing. And if you're having to do something mundane, like I know you had a job that was I would say mundane. It seemed like that's how you were explaining it on Facebook. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
Oh yeah,
but yeah. Okay, so
you're fine.
That is what you have to do in order to have your space to be able to do your ayahuasca and to be able to do all of that. So you start looking at things differently and saying, okay, I know I hate doing this, but I love what the outcome is of this. And then you just continue to just, move forward like that. And then find whatever you're truly passionate about. But there have been points in time where I felt like giving up. There have been points in time where I felt like standing still. January 2021, we did for 3 months. I had to take a step back and just say, I can't do this. I have to process everything that's going on right now. And it was really bad. But then I got motivated by the tribe. I got motivated by new ayahuasca revelations. I got motivated by realizing things are going exactly the way they're supposed to be going. And even more so, understanding the true self and understanding that this life is a small drop in an ocean of lives that I've lived. So while these moments
Yeah.
are precious and these moments should be savored, at the same time, this is a small part of the journey. And really, this is the most exciting part of the journey because we're accomplishing what we came to do in this lifetime. Like every lifetime has been building up to this lifetime right now that we're in right now. So whatever we got to do, we got to do. And now it's funny because it's kind of turned in a different way now. Now it's, I know that I have to leave soon. And now I'm starting to go, well, I don't want to leave. I want to enjoy the hot coffee and the cold. You know, I want to enjoy the sensations and touches and smells and everything like that. And so now all of a sudden there's like a new appreciation for life because you realize, oh shit, all these lifetimes that I've just, you know, have jumped through, now I've come up to my final one. Now I really have to enjoy and savor everything that I can before it's time to go home. So then it flips like that. Cherie's looking at me like I...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cherie,
Oh,
please.
no, I get it.
I'm not looking at you like anything.
Oh, okay.
Just listening.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what you're saying makes a lot of sense because it's like I know for me, I mean, those mundane jobs, I know one didn't work out, and I know another one, I mean, they're barely giving me any hours, so it's like, well, what can I do? I mean, it's giving me time enough to write. I mean, it's like, you know, the thing of it is like, I've always wanted to do something that's going to, like, change the world for the better. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, I have to get past this, like, you know, mopiness of, well, I haven't accomplished it yet. Because, yeah, accomplishing anything is going to be difficult. It's not, you know, like a friggin' TV show where everything gets wrapped up, you know, in a nice little package, you know, after 30 minutes or whatever, you know. But, yeah, it's like, I definitely, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's almost like at this point, I'm just basically going to have to just focus on, like, because I know personally, like, for me, it's like if I don't know, like, I know moving to a different state isn't me running away because, you know, wherever you go, you're still there. But, you know, there you are. I forget the saying. It's like wherever you go, there you are because you can't run away from yourself. But at the same time, it's like, you know, where I'm living now, it's like there's nothing. It's just nothing but NPCs for miles around. And it's just, you know, it kind of kills your creativity.
Yeah, no,
but,
I understand. It was when we were living in Washington, I felt the same way. It was great for the few years that we were there, but I needed more dynamic. I needed more novelty. I needed more people around than just sitting out in the middle of nowhere. And a lot of people are out in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it became tedious for me at one point because I had already gotten everything that I needed out of there. But no, if you move to Florida, there's nothing. You know, don't feel like you're running away from anything. I mean, we've moved, you know, from one state to another, and what happened is more and more opportunities started to open. You know, we moved out of Texas into Colorado, and I was still doing the carpet cleaning in Colorado. Then a friend of mine asked me if I could do programming, and I did a little bit of programming. Then we wound up moving to Washington. He taught me how to take a product from conception into market and all that. We did IA Life, and I worked for him for about 4 years and doing IT and stuff like that, busting my ass. But it was one opportunity after another that opened, and then it brought us to where we are now. So, you know, sometimes you got to just pack up and just go and just throw caution to the wind. I mean, Cherie, when we moved from Texas, how did we move from Texas?
Very uncomfortably.
Okay.
In a U-Haul.
We rented a U-Haul trailer. We threw in the bare essentials in there, took it on the back of our Honda Pilot, and just drove. And we drove to Colorado. I never had been there before. I'd been there once when I was a kid. And we get there, and somebody said, move to Thornton. And we looked at Thornton, and we dropped off the U-Haul in a place in Thornton, and it was like the industrial district. And I was like, oh my God, this is Colorado. This is Denver. This is ghetto. And then somebody was like, no, check out Littleton. Check out Littleton. We checked out Littleton. And then there were a lot of nice places in Denver. But we literally we just packed up the bare essentials and just left.
It was an adventure.
Well, yeah, and I'm planning on doing that like next winter. But it's just like, I guess in the meantime, I just need to focus on because once I get that certification that I'm doing to get employment as an addictions counselor, I got to focus on that. I probably just need to focus on my writing as well, and trying to figure out little ways of making money online. But it's like, just those 2 or 3, because it's like working like just a regular job, especially here in this area, it's just not feasible. It's just really not feasible. I mean, most places want to pay $10 an hour and they want you to work like a dog, and it's just like that's not life. That's just it's like
I went to a business meeting in LA, and I was living up in Washington at the time, and I met with a lot of very successful businessmen, and they loved me, and they were like, "Hey Chris, when are you going to move to LA?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. It's expensive here, and the taxes and this and that." And they're like, "Well, you move out here to make more money." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's so expensive." And they said, "Well, how are you going to be successful in your business?" This was like right at the end of me working for that company and the beginning of us doing IO Life. How are you going to be successful in your company if you don't have talent around you? You're not going to find talent up there in the middle of nowhere. You're going to find talent here in LA. And they explained it like that. And they said, you've got to go where there's opportunity. You got to go where you can network and meet people and, do all of that. So if you're not finding opportunity there where you're at, you gotta make the move, man. You gotta make the move.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like like there's like one of the classes that I'm taking is like it's called like group dynamics, and we're supposed to learn how to run a group. And I'm in this like group with a bunch of other classmates, and we're working on stuff. And I swear it's like most of these people, they have this like dead fish look in their eyes, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? I mean, it's just like I mean, it's like these people are NPCs, and it's just like, it's just draining. But yeah, it's like I have to plan my escape, so to speak, and just like be working towards it, and not get like, I gotta not get bogged down with all the nonsense,
Dude, I can really see you as a counselor. I can really see that. Like, I mean, you've got the experience, you've got the knowledge, you've got a deeper sense of understanding.
Yeah.
I went and I saw a counselor one time because I was going through some shit. And it turns out that I was teaching her more than she was teaching me. I started talking to her about ayahuasca, and she's like, "Oh my God, ayahuasca, I've always wanted to do that." And she's like, "What are you doing in counseling?" And I was like, "I don't know, I just need somebody to talk to. I'm going through some shit right now." And she's like, "Okay." And, she listened to me, and then she's like, "I feel like I can learn so much more from you than you can learn from me." But I think that people you'll find similar situations like that. I think that's a great path for you. And Siler's been sending a ton of donations. I wanted to say thank you, Siler, and everybody else that has sent the donations as you're speaking, Nick. But go ahead, please.
Yeah. Well, I think I've had like so many different instructors and therapists and et cetera, and they're all like, they all think that I'm going to be successful, but it's like, I think a lot of the thing of it is like, especially we as organic consciousnesses, we have to have more faith in ourselves. We have to, be willing to do the work, but we also have to believe in ourselves, because like, it's too easy for me to get like down on myself because I see all my flaws, but then it's like, I mean, I talk to some of these people. I mean, I write, it's like when I try like to work on a book or something, and it's like, I look at what I've written and I'm like, oh, this is garbage. But if I let other people read it, they're just like kind of blown away with it. And it's just like, we as organic consciousness, we have to stop having all that self-doubt,
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Hey, I'm going to let you go, brother. Everything's going to be fine, though, man. Everything's going to be fine. It all starts in the heart space and then in the mind. And so we manifest reality by first we think it, then we speak it, then we do it. So I think the problem is that what I'm hearing here is that you don't know what you want to do. And I understand that. I've been stuck in that paralyzed place so many times, man. It's not even funny. And that's really what it comes down to, is you got to figure out, what do you want to do? I recognize your talents. People in the chat are recognizing your talents as well. I think counseling is a great opportunity to help a lot of people and to share your gnosis and wisdom with people. That sounds like to me, that sounds like a great path. I can see you sitting down with a lot of people that need help, and then you're going to find that one or two people who you really just spark, you know?
Yeah. But I need to get over the self-doubt. I think, there's ways I can do that. And part of that is just like not, dwelling on, flaws and everything else like that. Because, I mean, it's like, if you're watching negative stuff all the time, you're gonna feel like shit, and that's part of my issue. Is like I watch way too much social media. It's like,
oh, dude, disconnect from Facebook, dude. Okay, they have programs like it's openly admitted that they've done experiments on how they can piss people off and see their responses. And it's literally social engineering. And this was all a pretext to this whole zombie virus situation that we're dealing with now. And so,
it's generating it's generating negative energy so the AI can feed. That's all it's doing.
Yeah, exactly. So cool, brother. Yeah. We're gonna let you go. Okay. All right. Much love.
Okay. Love you.
All right. And we have a couple more callers, but I said that we were going to cut it off at Nick Bravo. I hate to do this because people have been holding, but I know Cherie, neither of us have eaten dinner, and it's getting close to the time when if we don't go eat now, then we're going to be eating some kind of crap later. So I didn't eat yesterday either. I literally didn't eat all day yesterday. Yeah, which is good. It's good to take a break every once in a while, in my opinion. Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, every once in a while.
How are you feeling, Mrs. Gio?
I am not doing good right this second, but I'll be fine once I can lay down.
Okay.
So get off this back.
Yeah, these shows go on for a long time. We started at, 3 o'clock?
2:30.
Yeah, and it's 8 o'clock now, so 5-hour show. We are going to have to take this off of YouTube so I can do some editing, though. However, you'll be able to find it at our Patreon, patreon.com/BTV Tribe. And so I don't know what we're going to do about that first segment because Clyde is awesome. I love talking to him. He's got some great information. We're probably going to put it up over at tfrlive.com because I definitely don't want to keep that just for Patreons, but at the same time, I don't want to get our channel flagged. So we'll see how it goes. Kiss the one you love right now. You never know when the last time it's going to be. There are a couple shows over at patreon.com/BTV Tribe that are not available here on YouTube. And it's getting harder and harder and harder to speak the truth, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Thank you so much, Allison. You're awesome. All the callers. Oh, my God. And I'm sorry to the callers that we couldn't get to tonight.
Yeah, be sure to call in next time, Nicola. We'll take your call for sure.
Love you. Kiss the one you love right now, and you never know the last time is going to be, and we'll see you even further.
Beyond the veil.
Love you.
Love you.